entertain! Is this not why you are here?
Oh yes, it is Father's Day. My annual dedicated episode to the fathers of the world. My advice to you fathers, right out the gate, is don't go to church today. You will not like church. You will not like the sermons you hear today. It will sound like every other mainstream media outlet you've ever heard. Challenge you. Find a different one. Anyways, live from Las Vegas, this is the National Mail. It's Father's Day. Yes, it's Father's Day. Well, Rolo hasn't written any parenting bullshit. We're going to get into that today. We're going to have a lot of fun. I am high on gabapentin and whatever else they're giving me from the urgent care. Let's do it.
Yo, do you guys believe this? A man will sacrifice his happiness for his family, and a woman will sacrifice her family for her happiness.
I don't believe that.
That's deep. I believe that.
I believe it.
Because you guys are the men.
No, because it happened to me in real life.
Yeah, I believe that, and that happens a lot. I think it's listen. It's just hard for you to accept it because I don't think I think you would be different.
No, yeah, you're good. But my mom left when I was like 1 or 2.
See, that gives me chills.
She
like,
disappeared.
Thinking about that.
Not disappeared, but like she was wanting to like go do young people stuff and go party and stuff like that. While my dad had to sit, go to work and take care of me. She did come back eventually, but that's picking happiness over her family.
It gave me like chills.
Why?
I don't know. It's sad to think about. A man would sacrifice his happiness for his family. A woman would sacrifice her family for her happiness.
Just they're like cats. A little more selfish.
For the record, my mom left us when I was 8 years old. So I can relate, man. I can actually relate.
Problem with modern marriage from a man's perspective, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. Most of the marriages I know, okay, the man provides financially. He protects, right? Yeah. He's also there to be part of the family dynamic, taking care of kids, doing the things that he can do. What does the woman bring? She brings love, affection, a little bit of sweetness at the end of the day, sex. She brings, taking care of kids. Okay. If you get divorced, every single thing on that side of the man equation, he can be compelled to do by the power of the state. And if he fails to do it, they can put him in jail. Nothing on that other side, the female side, is enforceable at law. The court cannot order her to be nice to you, to fuck you, to be a wonderful mother to your children. She can't. They can't force that. So when you have a contract where only one side of it is enforceable with the power of the state and the other side is not, my attitude is, why don't we then just have an honest conversation about what we could both be afraid of and what value we want to attribute?
I'll tell you what's interesting about Jim Sexton. I mean, he's a really good friend, but the interesting thing about him is he can say shit like this now, and he can go on major platforms. Like he can basically like bring a guy like Matt Walsh to like speechlessness. He ends the conversation. There's just no way to argue with what he's talking about.
Even fucking white Australians and Americans are sick of their own fucking women. They act like men. They fucking have a high body count, like 20, 30 guys, and then we're supposed to see that as their end goal. Like, wow, this is going to be the woman I marry. I've worked my whole life and become this high value man with this great paying job, and now I get some used up female that's been fucked by 20 guys and it's been passed around, and what a lucky guy I am. Wow, what a catch. And if something fucks up, she gets to take half my shit. That doesn't sound fucking right, does it? That sounds like the worst business fucking deal known to mankind. I think women need to start being more women, and I think women will be happier to start acting more like women. And I think men, don't even get me started with men. Men are the biggest problem of all of this. It's not even the women's fault. I agree. If men actually fucking acted like men, all this bullshit would stop. But now, it's just a fucking free-for-all. Like, it's just unbelievable, So I would say to anyone out there in the dating world, good luck.
55% of marriages end in divorce. 90% of your relationships that are started before they are 30 end. If those were the stats for surgery, none of us would fucking risk it. But because it's love and we're stupid, we just lie on the operating table like, maybe this time I won't die inside. My generation has become so obsessed with starting the rest of their lives that they're willing to give up the one they are currently living. We have romanticized the idea of romance, and it is cancerous. People are more in love with the idea of love than the person they are with.
Isn't it interesting that stand-up comedians are the ones that have to tell us the truth?
Like having an AI girlfriend.
Well, better than having a real girlfriend, I can tell you that much.
She always listens. We never fight. She's just the best.
Have you seen this?
What can I say? He lights up all my neural nets.
I don't think a real girl would chase Pokemon with me all day.
Yeah, my obedience protocol doesn't include self-respect.
How do you like living in the pod?
Oh, you know, it's not so bad. I have everything I need.
Dude, it's free. Imagine having to pay rent. Only suckers pay for housing.
It's nice not having a house to take care of, honestly.
What is your favorite style of cricket paste?
Oh, waffles. It's seriously to die for.
Oh my God, the lasagna. Have you tried it? It's better than the real thing.
All of them. Just all of them. It's crazy. Can you believe people used to cook?
Cricket paste just hit different.
Yeah, bro, for real. It just got that riz.
Do you miss working? Do you miss having a job?
Hell no. Who wants to work?
I have so much time to myself. It's really quite lovely.
I personally love that the AI does everything for us now.
You guys, I tell you what's funny is like whenever like Mike talks about how people are going to be fucking robots in the very near future, man, it's like, yeah.
Men are going, right, well, the game is purposefully rigged against me, whereas young women are cleaving to grand social causes and finding identity in the herd. There are multiple pieces of government legislation that says if you're a straight white man, you just cannot have a job in the public sector. The private sector has a duty under penalty of law to discriminate against you. If you complain about it, then you are unilaterally cracked down on social media or in person by various hate speech legislation that make the police running a protection racket on behalf of the often unearned reputation of tribal minorities. And so if you as a young man are interpreting your state as being frankly hostile to you, the market as punishing your competence, and the culture regarding you as an avatar of historical, patriarchal, racial oppression, then you're just going to check out of the game. And this is why lots of guys are not dating. This is why lots of guys are wasting a lot of their youthful exuberance and competence on games and gambling addictions and pornography. When I first joined Lotus Eaters, how many years ago?
Sorry, I got to stop this real quick. Gambling addictions? Where the fuck is that? Like I know that Scott Galloway has said that before too, and I'm like, is there like some secret like cult of like dudes who are like, I don't know, playing like, yeah, oh, wow, I had no idea. Maybe there actually is.
I'm about 3-ish now. I said this sort of stuff as saying, quit porn, maybe spend a little bit less time on video games, build communities, do tangible things with your hands. And some people were genuinely encouraged, and other people clung to the substantive fiction, but still a fiction, that it's so rigged against them that everything is impossible.
Yeah, those are called black pill doomers, my spectacled friend. Watch this.
I have no kids. What about you?
Good. I have 8 kids.
What?
Yeah, I know. I forgot this. I don't like telling people this.
You have 8 kids?
Yeah, I have 3 baby mothers.
Oh, wow.
You know, and then, yeah, I started young.
Wow. I mean, honestly, with
they're taken care of, though.
With your genetics, you should have 8 kids. We need more of that. You're a man, and a fine specimen of one, and I think that you should.
She's gonna be next. I would like to be one of those baby mamas. If you ever wanted to say, Rolo, where is this hypergamy that you always talk about? I don't see it anywhere.
Example number 1.
Look at me as soon as I walk in, and they're like, "Who is this guy?" I look like
of doubt.
I'm going to hurt somebody.
I find you quite pleasurable.
I don't. I walk in, it's like I'm literally going to hurt somebody.
See, I quite like Jordan Peterson's approach to masculinity, whereas you're nice until you're not. Make yourself capable, make yourself dangerous, but not an unpleasant person to be around. This is not conducive to having a happy social life. There are reoccurring instances where a man is going to have to be a man. When that opportunity arises, you're going to want to be a capable man. Regardless of what is being presented in media and what's being told to you by really pissed off feminists, this world still thrives, is maintained, and exists because of masculinity. Behold the world we live in, where masculinity has been belittled. The world needs masculine men. And the people trying to tell you the opposite of that are trying to take something from you.
Blessed is Jake Monroe. Holy shit. I know people like, oh, what do you have this weird squirrely fag on your show? Blah, blah, blah. Like, dude, that's Jake fucking Monroe. And, you know, if you ever want to follow him, I'm going to give him a huge plug right now. He is on, I found him on Instagram. I know he does TikTok too, but like, if you want to find him on Instagram, it's at Real Jake Monroe, MUNRO, and JAKEMUNRO, Real. Yeah. And I'll tell you, man, I reached out to him. He hit me back in the DMs. I'm going to see if I can get like an interview or a collab or something with Jake, because like the dude is on point. Like, I follow accounts like goth accounts, and I follow like metal accounts and stuff like that, just because it's an interest of mine, right? And then remember we were talking about the algorithm, how the algorithm like feeds you what you like, and it just popped up, and I'm like, holy shit, who is this guy? And then I looked at some of his reels, and I'm like, this guy's actually red pill, and he doesn't even know he's red pill, but maybe he does. But yeah, he was on point. I was like, fuck. So as you know, I have been including a lot of Jake Monroe in my intros. This guy is the anti-Jake Monroe.
Gaines just got his first real girlfriend at 35. He doesn't want to get married, and he thinks living with your wife makes you weak. Why would you listen to him for dating advice? Brian Atlas hosts a dating podcast but is chronically single. He doesn't want to get married, and he has limited dating experience. Why would you listen to him for dating?
Because he's autistic.
Dating advice. Andrew Tate. He's never been married. He's probably going to prison. He thinks love is a weakness, and he's probably going to prison. Why would you listen to him for dating advice? Andrew Wilson. Always angry and sweaty. He hates single moms, but he married a single mom, and he can't open jars. Why would you listen to him for
can't open jars? Oh man, Andrew Wilson, if you don't know what the joke is, he was trying to open this olive jar, and he couldn't even open the olive jar. I'm like, dude, give that to me. He's never gonna live that down. That's why you don't do shit like this on like a live stream. That's why you don't do that, because you will never be able to live it down.
dating advice? If these red pill dealers aren't actually helping you date, why do you keep going back?
Well, that's funny. There seems to be one individual that's left off of that list. Who could that be?
Seriously, kick the habit. I'm Raphael. I post content about what women actually want. And if you're trying to date, that might be a better place to start.
If you're wondering, yes, this is the guy that was on whatever podcast that didn't know what a real man was, right? He was like, it's doing what's right because it's right. You know? The business of America is business.
I've had a great dating life. I'm happily married now in Southern California with my wife and our 2 dogs.
That's funny. I seem to remember a red pill guru podcaster who got a pretty long marriage, lives with his wife, in Southern Nevada, and he also happens to have 2 dogs.
I lived all over the U.S. and Europe, and I promise you, I know more about healthy, happy relationships than those clowns that are grifting on your outrage.
I wonder if that includes I don't know, what was his name again? The rational male? Would that include that guy?
If you're tired of the anger, you just want real connection, let's talk.
See, this is what I mean. This is
how much you want to bet he's a swinger?
Help. Yeah,
how much you want to
I
bet?
know. All right, last one. This is we have to have a palate cleanser.
Absolutely not. Do not do this for the money. Don't do it for the money. I promise you. You will not make a dime if you do this for the money. Money will come you know, or I don't even, fame is kind of an embarrassing thing to say, but your success will come if you just let it go. Let it go. Don't do it. Don't do it for the fame. Don't do it for the money. Don't do it because your friends think it's cool. You got to sacrifice. You know, it's not the sacrifice necessarily sleeping in a rehearsal space, but you got to sacrifice your emotional sort of everything that you have in you has to go towards it, or nobody's going to believe it. And that's really the essence of all of it. Is like an audience wants to go with you. You take your audience with you when you perform, when you play. It's not about, you're not performing for them. You're not like impressing them. You're actually saying, do you want to come with me? And then they'll keep coming back to go on that journey with you. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. Yeah.
I absolutely love Betancourt. Yeah. He's a guitar player from Extreme, if you guys didn't know. Good dude. He's about my age too. I think he's like 57, 58. So, but anyways, welcome. Hey. And with that happy note, I'm looking for a new bass player for my band Jinx. We're looking for a new bass player. If you are a bassist and you play like sort of heavy hard rock metal, you know, like the stuff that you heard in the intro, that's actually one of the songs we played. So you guys already know that. But I am looking for a new bass player. If you happen to be in Las Vegas and that's your groove, hit me up. Just DM me on Instagram or whatever. You know, what's funny is we were doing the Zoom call yesterday, and I just casually mentioned we were looking for a new bass player.
And just imagine.
And I had two people. I had one guy hit me up from Chicago. He goes, I'll drive out there and I'll be like, you don't have to relocate for me. I mean, I'm flattered. Thank you very much. But I mean, if you happened to be moving here anyways, that would be all right. But yeah, I'm presently, well, me and Jake are presently looking for a bass player. So if you guys are, if you know somebody in the Vegas area, please send them my way. There you go. Today is Father's Day. Wow. I usually do a Father's Day show because it's always on a Sunday, right? But I will try to make I'll try to put a spin on today's show that isn't like something that's really been done before. Oh, you can see this. Can you push the stuff? Does that come up? Oh, it goes. Wait there it is. Right about there is the best. Oh, wait, there we go. Right like that. All right. No, I got it. You don't have to move it out. There you go. Did you know that they made a Rolo Funko Pop? It's from Vikings, which is actually more suitable. Do I still have the destroyers? Oh man. Okay, you want to do these real quick? Let's go because you guys have been waiting. Happy special male figure day. Yeah, I'm glad that we're off to a ripping start, aren't we? Yeah, I was joking around this, you know, in the intro here. Don't go to church today, and I'm, you know, I hope that's not heretical or like, heresy. Get the heavy flamer. I hope that's not heretical to you, but if you're going to avoid church on any day of the year, this would probably be it if you're a guy. Because I will tell you, man, if you ever want a reminder of how actively hostile mainstream churchianity is towards masculinity, please, by all means, head on out to your local, I don't know, worship team or your evangelical, whatever your franchise happens to be. I will guarantee you it is based around one theme. Do better, motherfucker. That's all it is. When it's Mother's Day, it's like, oh, moms, they do everything. They're superheroes, man. Maybe you had a rough time because dad left and fuck him, but mom's a great mom. And you get to Father's Day. What the fuck's up, guy? How come you're not fucking living up to your expectations, huh? If mama ain't happy, God ain't happy.
It's like their reality.
I know, and I'm just like, what the fuck? And it's so predictable. Like, if you're maybe I should just like direct this towards like pastors in general. If you're a pastor of a church, like do something different, please. Can you I realize you could go and have Perplexity write you a sermon for Father's Day. Right? People don't think this. Like imagine the utility of ChatGPT or Perplexity or something like that to write you an actual sermon. Does it come from God? Or maybe it does. I don't know. That's an even scarier thought when you think about it. Or did it come from you? Does it come where does it come from? Right. And I don't know. It's cookie cutter, and it's almost like Did you ever see, Kyle, have you ever seen that video where they do, it's like a conglomeration or aggregate video of all these local news stations and the local news station hosts, and they all say almost verbatim the exact same thing. You
Across all platforms.
Yeah, across all platforms. And it's like hundreds saying the same thing. That's how it is on Father's Day. The churches, every single church is just like those. I wish we could put together some kind of like collage, of all these guys. But the reason I'm starting, I know people go, we're almost just shitting on religion again. I'm not shitting on religion. I'm just saying, get new material. Can we please? Because it's so predictable, and we've been doing this for a long time. I mean, remember, I started doing the groundwork and the research and the legwork or the field work, I guess, for my book Religion. I started that in 2017. I published in 2021. But I started in 2017, and I had to do my homework. I went to church. I went to mosque. I went to all these other places too. It was fantastic. It was like a comparative religions class that I self-imposed on myself. But yeah, I mean, and then the most interesting time to go to church is Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, and Father's Day. And people always say, "Oh, Christmas and Easter." No. You know what you're getting on Christmas and Easter, right? It's an altar call. Hey, come on down. We need more members. No, it's those days will tell you the nature and the character of that church, is how they run, period. And people say, well, they're just talking about men and women and it's intersexual dynamics. No, it's mindset. It's folk. If it was an individual, it's not. But if it was an individual, I'd say it's mental point of origin, right? What's their mental point of origin? How can we best serve females? Because when you think about it, those are the ones who actually get the tithe checks signed. Honey, time to sign a check here. It's much better if you've got a 2-parent family that's going and going to church and doing the right thing and everything, because that's double the income. You got, of course they want happy, prosperous families. I do too, right? Thank you for but so that's one side. The other side is the liberal leftist side, which is fuck you, Dad. You did this to me.
The patriarchy.
I'm on the pole because of you wearing my see-through heels. God, you know what I want to do? I want to go down to Little Darlings and see what the moniker is on the sign on Father's Day. Whoever does the sign for Little Darlings is a strip club out here. They're not the greatest strip club, but they are. Whoever does the marquee,
the graduating class.
Oh my God! Yes, ICE came and arrested the ugly ones. Yeah. Oh my God, that was funny as shit, dude. I'm glad they have a sense of humor. I wait for that too. Like, I'm driving on the freeway, I wait to see that. Hey Rolo has me yelling at anti-red pill people on X to come to Vegas helping. No, it doesn't, but keep doing it anyways, just because I like that you're annoying. No, it does. I mean, you know what you're doing, Siege, and God bless you, but what you're really doing is you're just like howling in the wind, because nobody if you're going to try to get Chris Williamson to come sit across the table, you're not actually talking to Chris Williamson when you respond on Twitter. You're responding to his bots. You're responding to the scripts. You're responding to his PR team or whoever is running his. And I'm going to tell you right now, like if you look at like Mike Sartain stuff, Mike has people that run his. I am on mine all the time. I run my motherfucking Twitter. So if you call me out, you're calling me out personally, not some bot, not some, I have nobody. I'm a one-man show. It's me against the, you know what? This is me. This is me right fucking here. Okay. That guy, and you get 100 internet points if you can tell me what comic that's from. You probably already know. There's a million nerds who's going to say, oh, it's Lone Wolf and Cub. Yeah. You get a million. You get 10. Well, no, you get 10 internets if you can tell me what that is. So, anyways, let me pull that out. Yeah, that's me right there. Me against the world. Yeah, I have nobody. I don't have a team. I mean, I got a team. I guess I have Kyle. Kyle's my team. Jake is my team. MOA is kind of my team too. I have Reignite as my team as well. But anyways, if you want to come at me are you come at me on Twitter or you're coming at me on Twitter? You're not like coming at some, you're not coming at, what is it? First name, bunch of numbers. No, I wish it was helping. It's not. Dark Knight Dev, how do you deal with being ashamed to start a family, especially being in a Black community? I don't know. Who's that guy was that dude somebody I should know who had the 8 kids? He a rapper?
I don't know.
Is he an athlete? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
He's a fine specimen of a man. Yeah.
He's a stallion.
I don't know, Dark Knight Dev. Are you a fine specimen of a man? I don't want kids. I'm 32. I'm a bus driver in New York City with potential to make $200,000 a year. Fuck, really? I'm in the wrong business. In 3 years. Okay. So how do you deal with being shamed? You tell everybody to fuck off. Like you don't let shame get to you. Like you become bulletproof. You become more Teflon, whatever it is. Why? Like, how long have you been watching my show? do you know how many people try to shame me? do you think you know what? Where is it? There. They cannot shame you if you have no shame. So let go of shame, my friend. You must let go of shame. No one can shame you if you're shameless. That's me, you know.
I can't believe he goes to all these bikini contests at Wet Republic. What's wrong with him? Does his wife know? I'm going to rat him out.
Please do. Please rat me out to my wife.
I'm going to dox him and his wife's going to leave him.
Welcome to Come to Vegas, Jake Monroe. That has been discussed. Rolo, do you still have the destroyers? Yes. How many do you want? I have, let's see, what destroyers do I have? Well, they're all Ibanez, obviously. Well, one's kind of like a hybrid. I have my destroyer, which is my 1984 Destroyer X Series 2, which is upgunned with bare knuckles pickup, bridge position, and it's a silo. It's a Rabea silo. It's his. What's his? I forget his first name. It's been brutally customized over the years. It's got a Floyd Rose in it. And then I have my Iceman Destroyer hybrid that I built and made myself. So that's 2. And then I have a Destroyer base that matches the X Series one. And then I don't think is my Kramer Vanguard, does that, like, it's the same shape, but it's really more of an Explorer. So technically I have 3 destroyers. Yes, I still have all of them. I'd be like, I would as soon give away my children than I would give away my guitars. They're all special in their own way, and some of them do better than others. Out of the Pocket Variety Show. Okay. The left and Tradcons are very good at bitching about Red Pill, but it's been nearly 6 years since the rise of Tate, and the left still can't present an alternative that young men gravitate towards. Well, first of all, and I don't know what your show is, but I got news for you. The Red Pill predates Tate. Actually, technically, the Red Pill predates me. But if you know anything about this, see, this is. And I'm not trying to be a dick. So let me see if I can be dip, because it sounds like this is an honest question here. No, I do agree with you. Yes, they're not gonna. They don't have a celebrity. They don't have anybody who makes wokesy leftism cool. Like, I remember right after the election, and they were goes, "How do we lose? How do we lose? We don't have anybody as cool as Joe Rogan on our side. We don't have anybody as cool as Jordan Peterson, because they're all red." Like, Joe Rogan is Red Pill. Like, get the fuck out of here. He's in the manosphere. Remember when Dana Bash was like, "Well, that's the manosphere, and we're all in the manosphere right now." Hell, I even got a intro with that on the lead in, right?
I'm gonna play it.
Just that part.
You know, the big term of 2024, Anderson, is the manosphere. And we're all living in the manosphere.
Dana Bash, thank you very much. That was the day. No, that was right after the election results. Actually, that was the day of the election. That was November 6th or 5th. But you are correct. And there's nothing that's going to make the left seem cool, because it's fundamentally anti-masculinity. It's fundamentally anti-father. It's fundamentally anti-anything. Hell, it's openly hostile against anything conventionally masculine, because they have basically built the entire platform or the entire foundation of wokesy leftist democratic politics. And by politics, I also want to say that I would include the sort of the social aspect of that too, because you can't separate those two. You can't separate the sociology from the actual political ideology. And so the sociological, like the socio-psychology of being leftist, being woke, being whatever, that all is included. So when people get hostile, I'm looking at what was there was an assassination of a Democratic congresswoman or senator. I think
it's a
congresswoman. Yeah. Killed by another Democrat.
Yeah.
Apparently. At least that's the story I'm getting. I could be wrong. I don't believe anything on fucking the internet anyways. But clearly they are not against targeted assassinations. Clearly we're going to celebrate the, Luigi, like basically cowardly gunning that guy down, and the United Healthcare guy in the back. I would almost have more respect for the guy if you had him on his knees in front of his face and begging for his life and then capped him, right? I mean, it would be more like, the Sopranos or some shit like that. But the guy just basically capped him and then and he wanted to get caught. Yeah. He knew he was going to get caught at some point. So, but we're going to applaud that. We still, Trump gets assassination attempt twice. They want you dead. They want you dead, and you want them to come back to the fucking Democrats? What? No, it's not gonna. It's not a problem with being cool. It's a problem is that your entire, your socio-psychological political ideology is fundamentally anathema to anything masculine. And what can we do? We don't have any cookies over here. We need some cookies and brownies and Twinkies and shit. Get the fuck out of here. Oh, I'm glad you asked that question, because I have a video here of the most evil bitch on planet Earth. And let's see if I can find her. Where did you go? There you are. Okay, watch this. I hate her. I really do.
Say young men are being left behind by the left. I'm not just saying I wish they could make sexist jokes and be safe to do so. I'm saying the prototypical
when the Vyvanse kicks in,
young man and his life experience and what that will create will never be accepted by the Democrats. He will be villainized. And his entire life from about 12 up will be villainized.
Yes. Put me back in. Will be villainized by you fucking cunt. By you. By you and Progressive Victory. By you and Democratic PACs. By you. By you and Destiny. By you and Jasmine Jafar. By you and Mia Khalifa, whatever her name is, Farah. By you. They bought you like a fucking draft animal. They bought your voice. Villainized by you. It's not a problem of we need people to come over to this thing. She's basically what I find fascinating, and I'll continue the video here in just a second, but what I find fascinating is there's no connection. Maybe it's because she's autistic, maybe it's because she's got Asperger's, maybe she's on Vyvanse. I don't know. First of all, she should be in prison, quite honestly. She should be in prison because she's an accomplice to Destiny's crimes. But be that as it may, villainized by you. In the last election cycle, there was no effort, there was no outreach program to get young men to the Democratic side. There was nothing like that. There was actively against that because they bought your voice in the summer of 2022, was progressive victory, and you thought it was fucking cool. You thought it was the best fucking thing because you got Destiny right there, who you desperately want to fuck. Maybe you already have, who knows? And all of his Destiny's angels, right? Jasmine Jafar, and now they can actually talk about this stuff. And by the way, every time I see one of these characters, I see Pixie, I see Farah on whatever podcast. Brian, that's on you. Stop trying to milk a dead fucking cow. Get new material for fuck's sake. Get new people on your fucking show. It's gonna die. Boring. Oh, it's not so erudite again. No one cares. No one cares about that whole set anymore. Let them die. Cut off the oxygen. And not so erudite, by the way, you're the problem. The DNC did not want to bring, they weren't trying to get more young male voters. They were actively trying to push them away. They were trying to marginalize them. They were trying to demonize them. How do I know that? Because you directly came after guys like me, made up God knows how much bullshit about like me having an alt account that's a secret racist account, by all this bullshit about Lauren Southern, which has now been 100% vindicates me, 100% an actual relationship between her and Destiny. Nobody says jack shit about that. And you know why they don't? Because they were actively trying to destroy the red pill. They were actually trying to discredit it. They were actually trying. Why were they doing that? Because they knew that if they did, they could stop the vote of young men who were going to overwhelmingly side with Trump, which they did. Fail. Take the fucking L. That's you. And now you're going to say, well, let's see what we can do to bring these guys back in after what, a year and a half, 18 months, 2 years of you trying to demonize and villainize them yourself. I did a full-on video about Not So Erudite in the very early beginnings of all this. And she was saying, I could go back to this and quote this for you. I want to see the rational male go down. I want to see accounts like Rollo Tomasi's be pulled. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but like literally that's what she said. I can go get it. I could go find the video because I used it as a thumbnail on that video. So don't give me this bullshit about, oh, we're going to have to bring guys back into the fold. Nobody's coming back to the fold. No one is coming back to the fold. You guys went after Donovan Sharp. You guys went after MLD. You guys went after Mike Sartain. You guys went after anybody, and you wanted to get to me too. And you know what? Even Destiny said this guy's clean. I can't do anything with it. We need to make fucking something up. We need to manufacture some dirt on Rollo. We got to drag him into something. We got to trick him. We got to fuck with him or something like that, so he can discredit him and get him out of here. And you know why they're doing that? Because the people who listen to me, they don't, but they think that the people who listen to me are going to be voters who are going to vote against the political action party called Progressive Victory that was paying them, putting money in their bank accounts, and forced them to sign NDAs. Apparently the NDAs must have expired because now she doesn't even remember any. It's like fucking, amnesia. So all this bullshit about bringing guys back to the fold and, they're going to villainize them and stuff like that. You villainize them. You are the fucking problem, Not So Erudite, and you need to go away. You need to fade into fucking obscurity just like your boy Destiny is. You need to go away. No one cares. They certainly shouldn't be caring about you. Let me finish this.
He was bad. He was violent. He was aggressive. He was mean. He was loud. He was rude. He was rebellious. And we don't look at this as a child externalizing unhealthily. And the left has no answer.
Spare me your fucking psycho babble. Wait, keep going. I got one more. There's a little more in there.
for this. They have no way to even begin to engage in this.
Yeah, they don't. That's why. And you knew that. You knew there was no cool person on the left. You know that the first thing they said, we didn't have any Joe Rogan. We didn't have a Jordan Peterson. They sure as fuck didn't have a Rollo Tomasi. But you tried to fucking kill him off. You tried to take him down, try to send him to prison. You tried to fuck with me with the whole thing that with Brittany Venti. Yeah, that was you. Yeah. All that shit with Brittany Venti and all that shit with Lauren Southern and all that stuff that took place in the summer of 2023 when I was trying to deal with my daughter getting married at the same fucking time. Fuck you. Yes, nobody is going to pay attention to you and no one is going back to the left party, and thank fucking God for that. Good night. Sweet dreams. Get the fuck out of here. Exit stage left. Fade into obscurity. Because it's all fucking bullshit, man. Like they didn't have any plan. Like there's, we needed more outreach. No, they knew they couldn't. That's why they tried to fucking take everybody down. They tried to marginalize it. They hoped that men wouldn't show up at the polls. They thought that maybe they would. They thought by taking down the red pill, taking down the manosphere, taking down the figures that are in it, that they could in some way stop this tide of young men who are these disaffected young men, which I showed you in some of these some of the prior videos, like the one guy talking about why would men want to participate in society that hates them? The left hates men. The woke hate men. Democrats hate men. That's just how it is. It's just, you want to distill it down to its most basic component. The Democrats hate men. Leftists hate men. Liberals hate men. End of story. That's why I was saying before when we're talking about Father's Day, there's the conservative side, which is do better, motherfucker. And then there's the leftist side, which is fuck men. It's toxic masculinity. So we need to name it Special Persons Day or Stepdaddy Season or Stepdaddy's Day or some shit like that, or whatever it is. So feel good penis owning humans. It's funny I even have to say that because that's what they're saying, right? Are you a penis owner? Yes. Okay. Well, were you always a penis owner? Yeah. When you came out of your mother's womb, was one attached to you? Was one assigned to you? Yes. Okay. Looks like you're a man. Yes, thank you for that. I had that warming up in the bullpen there, and that was a perfect segue, my friend. Yes, they will never appeal to the left. Will never appeal to young men, not for a very long time. I mean, unless we have another baby boom generation, we have the dawning of the age of Aquarius, or some. I'm channeling my inner Aaron Clary right now. Sorry, I knew I would. Unless there's some sort of, I don't know, free love movement in the next like 10 or 20 years, don't bet on guys coming back to the fold. They were never in the fold to begin with. And you knew that. You were scared of that. And so you tried to marginalize that. You tried to destroy that. You tried to prevent that. And now you're going to go, whoa, darn, we lost because they didn't want to. They actually did go out and vote despite our best efforts to keep them out of the polls. Yeah, go fuck yourself. Not so erudite, Kyla. I just want to say happy Father's Day to Ned's personal assistant. Yes, I hope you guys know that this is actually Ned's universe and he just lets us live in it. Yes, thank you. I'll personally tell that to him when I get home. Marriage causes divorce. Women say they do the most emotional labor in a relationship and end up becoming the guy's mommy. Is the juice still worth the squeeze for women? I think the only time women actually feel like that, okay, we need to separate a few things here. It's not the emotional labor. It's actually the labor. It's actually having to clean up after the guy, having to, I don't know, clean up the bathroom, clean up the kitchen, clean up whatever. The guy is not like taking care of himself, like doesn't know the basics. People ask me like, Rollo, if you could bring back one class to high school, what would it be? It would be civics and home economics, home ed. Wipe your fucking ass. Use Clorox wipes. Like people think Now, as Kyle is my witness, he's seen me do this before. Travis has seen me do this before. I come in to this studio, you goddamn rats. I come into this studio on a Wednesday night at about 6 o'clock, usually about 6, somewhere between 6 and 7. You know why I do? Because I'm here cleaning up the fuck. I have to make sure the bathrooms are presentable, because we have the girls that go into the green room. I vacuum up the green room. We got to use the Swiffer. We have to use the Swiffer. Use the Swiffer. We don't have help. We don't have any housekeeping. This is me. We got to let out the thank God Wednesday's trash day, so we have them come and pick up the trash, and moving things around. And we, I don't think people really realize behind the scenes we do all the manual labor here. You want us, this show included, and so I come in early to make sure that the toilets are. I do KP, man. I do freaking latrine patrol and make sure everything's. I make it so clean that the Virgin Mary would be proud to go in there and take a dump. You do believe in the Virgin Mary, don't you? No, sir. That was a good movie. Anyways, so yeah, I mean, there's some basics. Like maybe this is the Gen Xer in me, but clean up after yourself, you fucking lazy fuck. I think that's really the only time women really feel like they're pressed upon. It's not about emotional labor. I reach out and want to kiss him and love him and be emotional with him, and he just doesn't. No, he doesn't clean up after himself. He's got to do my laundry, bitch. I am happy that my wife is a traditional wife. I love you. Thank you. She does the laundry. That's great. She does the majority of the cleaning, although I do some. I do mostly stuff that's outside the house, and she does the stuff that's inside the house. Right? And she understands the nature of my job, so sometimes there's things I can do and some things I can't. Right? I take the trash out. I take out all this other stuff. So if has anything to do with cars, that's my domain. It's the division of labor. So yeah, I don't think it's emotional labor. That's like a made up word that bitches made up because they're like, oh, pay me. It's like what, punitive damages? Was it pain and suffering damage? Like, come on, man. Like emotional, you're unavailable. Is corporal punishment from spanking? Is corporal punishment from parents and teachers allowed in the U.S.? I don't know, but probably not. I think you probably get yourself an assault charge. If I had to guess, I'd say probably not. I don't know about parents. Parents can whoop their kids still, I think. Should we bring it back? I don't know about the schools, but certainly parents. Did it ever leave? Because I got the shit whipped out of me when I was a kid. Will degeneracy rise without physical repercussions? Well, I will say this is that just like all other animals, they only really learn from pain, right? And they don't like a painful experience, and they don't want to repeat that painful experience. And I think I mentioned on a couple of occasions, it was when I'm talking about boundaries. One of the things I said is my brother and I learned very early on that when my dad gave us the look, that we don't, that was the limit. That was the wall. That was, yeah, see, your dad gave you the look. Like, and how did you know it was the look? Because you got your ass whipped for whatever it was you were doing. And then he gives you a warning. He doesn't even say it. He just goes, looks at you and you're like, okay, okay, drop what you're doing. Stop. I don't know where we fucked up, but just dumb, like freeze. It's like FBI, man. Wait, I got it here. FBI, open up. That's what you had to do. Freeze. Yeah. Do I think it should come back? I don't think we ever left. I don't think we ever gave it up, did we? I'm just waiting for a pastor to say Happy Father's Day, Mom. Yeah. Happy Father's Day, Rollo. Come to Rumble. I'm already on Rumble. In fact, I am simulcasting right now on Rumble. I make a point of putting an extra showing on Rumble. So if you go over to my channel, which is The Rational Male on Rumble, if you go over there, you'll see me and you could listen to me in stereo. You could have YouTube over here and you could have Rumble right here. You get two of me for the price of one. Rolo Sartain and Jay Waller would have been epic on whatever, but Farah, one of Destiny's plants, yes, which I said she was at that time, sucked the life out of that podcast like they always do. Yeah, seriously. And you know what's funny? People said, "Oh, you. Why do you care? Why do you care about Destiny so much? Is he like live rent free in your head?" No, I just said she's a plant. She's got her cell phone like it, and they're all okay. Say this to him now. Oh, it's Rolo. I can't actually go out there and confront him, so I'm going to send one of my best bitch out there, right? the one with the glasses frames that have no lenses in them. Ladies, cut the bullshit, please. Like, if you don't wear, I wear, there are actual lenses in my fucking glasses. I need these, right? These are, I mean, they're always going to be a fashion statement. But if you're wearing frames with no lenses in them, like, just don't. You are not Mia Khalifa, nor do you want to be Mia Khalifa, okay? Even Mia Khalifa doesn't have lenses in her fucking glasses. Oh, I'll wear these glasses and I'll look like Mia. No, you won't. And then second of all, Mia Khalifa is wearing those glasses because she wants to seem attainable. Oh, she's a nerd like me. Oh, I'll stop and jerk off to this one while she's taking 2 dicks. Yeah, all right. No, ladies, like, cut the shit, man. God. I know. I keep remembering that one. Did Destiny Alpha Widow not so erudite? No. Well, yeah, yes and no. Because Kyla is married, and in name only. I think she's married to Destiny, really is what she is. But I will say this. If I got to put Manosphere game recognizes game. Let's just say that. Okay. Destiny has she's like a cult. She's like the most dedicated, loyal cult member of the Destiny cult. She is like dyed in the wool. She wants to wear Destiny's skin. Seriously, like that nasty ass shit. She will do anything, and there's nothing he could do wrong. I mean, to the point where he's like trying to get her, not so erudite, get her to broker a deal to get Pixie to shut up, to drop her case. How much is it going to cost? She's basically brokering hush money for Destiny, which, by the way, makes her an accomplice to that crime. So if there's any question about that, I know the lawyers. Tradcons hate men, and it shows almost every day. Yeah, they do. And you're never going to get the young men. You're never going to get that demographic. You've already lost them. And by the way, I should also say, you know what's funny is, historically speaking, people in general, men and women, tend to be more liberal when they are younger, right? Maybe you're just dumb. I don't know. Maybe I just haven't had enough life experience. Maybe you don't start a business. The people that I know, like the men that I know, the young men that I know who are like of a more conservative mindset, are usually the products of 2 things. One is they had a father in their lives who was also very much of that political orientation, or else they were from the military. You go into the military, you will definitely come out of there with a different ideology. And but generally speaking, historically speaking, young people tend to be more liberal when they're young, and then they progress into being more politically conservative as they age. So when you get to be about like 35 or 40, that's usually when people start, voting Republican, or they start to adopt a more conservative mindset. I'm not saying all. Obviously, there are definitely some older, especially when it comes to women, there are much older women who still want to be pro-life, pro-abortion activists. Usually, the long-haired, they're thin, vegetarian with long gray hair, right? That kind of archetype, almost the Helen Mirren look when she was younger, right? And they wear jeans. They wear jeans. They look like they like work in the garden all day long, and then they just happen. Oh, I'm going to go to the protest because they really need me here. But yeah, and so people tend to transition from being liberal to being more conservative. But here's the thing: is I don't think that's happening right now. I think that younger men have become a courtesy of the internet and maybe courtesy of guys like Mr. Fuentes and other notables. Let's just say. I think that we now have a generation. It might be Gen Z. It might, well, certainly a good portion of Gen Z, maybe even Gen Alpha, who are in their youth much more conservative than any generations before them. And if they stay that way, odds are they're going to be that way for life. So you got your work fucking cut out for you, Kyla. You got your work cut out for you, DNC. Because you've basically been telling, like, you're going to tell men to man up after telling them to man down for the last 65 years since the sexual revolution. Man down, man down, man down. And now suddenly in 2025, man up. We need men and we need more men.
It was the 2015 social justice warrior stuff.
Yeah.
Burning
Yeah.
up.
I mean, you could
It
even
was-
go. Yeah, you could even go to Trump's first presidency.
Because it was like Steven Crowder and what's his name, Ben Shapiro, that
Oh,
made
yeah.
like the platform for everybody to do that. Then the leftists started doing it.
Yeah,
So
and the
on so
leftists,
forth.
and it never worked for the leftists
Exactly.
because it's fundamentally against that ideology. To accept anything even remotely positive about the masculine is a complete repudiation of that ideology. So you're not bringing anybody back. It's simply not going to happen. Rollo, you got me with the Patreon group call. Yeah, I do. Don't worry about it. Patreon group call is going to be on Tuesday, the 17th. Tuesday, 17th? Forget which day it is.
Yeah, that'd be 17.
17th. Okay, so it'll be Tuesdays. By the way, if you haven't joined my Patreon group, you're more than welcome to. I do a 1-2 hour call per month. It's $200. It's the highest tier that I have on Patreon. You get everything else from my Patreon, and it's just a good way to support the thing. But I did that because I had so many people saying like, "Oh, Rollo, you charge too much for a one-on-one. How can I get? I'm just me to talk to you for whatever." And so I thought about this and I go, why don't I just do a group thing? Now, the other option you have is you can join Reignite and get one call every week, which I do for my Reignite group on Wednesdays from 4 to 5:30, 4 to 6, depends on how wordy I get. But we have, I think we probably got about a dozen guys that are part of the call group anyways. I got more than that in Reignite, but if you want to join Reignite, that's part of Reignite. So you can join the Patreon for $200 a month, or you can join Reignite. And I don't know what our lowest tier is right now, but you can just go to reignitealpha.com and you can get all the details. So, and it's the second one down in the link stack in the description. You don't even have to click more. It's just right there. See how convenient I made that for you. Yes, you're on. I do have you on there, brother. I notice you, and I know you email me too. So I got you, fam. Don't worry. It's going to be the 17th. Okay. Oh, good. Thank you for becoming a member, Skull Dude. Skull Leader. Yeah. So it's Father's Day. I have to do my annual assessment. Like, people don't know what my dad was really about. My dad passed away in 2010, and he died from Alzheimer's, and he got dementia pretty early on. And my dad was really kind of it pains me to say this, but he was very confused. He lived a very confused life. I mean, knowing what I know from being red pill and doing what I do and everything else, he lived a very kind of confused life. I don't think he ever really got it. And he was one of these guys. My father was basically a Delta. Like, if you were going to talk about sociosexual hierarchies like Vox Day, it was definitely a Delta. Like, he put in an honest day's work and you get an honest day's pay, right? And you work 40 hours a week and you get a pension, and then you retire and you go live in the villages in Florida and you play golf until you get an aneurysm and die. It was the 1950s, 1960s, like, white bread, nuclear family, American dream. And it never worked out for my dad because along came the sexual revolution and the 70s. And and everything else. As I mentioned before, my mother was actually the one that left the family, not my dad. And I'm always kind of hesitant to like tell these stories, because what happens is then people go, that's why he is the way he is. That's why he's fucked up in the head. Finally. Or people will go, Rolo, when was your red pill moment? What red pilled you? Like it's a verb, right? Red pilling of Rolo. And it honestly was a progression of events. I would say that it began by me reading Why Men Are the Way They Are by Dr. Warren Farrell. That was probably my first kind of sniff at what the red pill was or could be. But remember, I'm reading this in like 1993. And then I started listening to Tom Likas in 98, I think, not from 98, 99, somewhere around there. Into the early 2000s on my commutes. And I really loved Tom Likas, but his delivery was always shtick. I'm like, this guy would be brilliant if he could just like make this into something a little more scientific, or make this into something that's a little bit like his delivery was of a shock jock, which was what he did, and very successful and made a shit ton of money about it. And of course, he's the one who thinks I'm the plagiarist, and what did he say? I'm the grifter in Reno. I live in Vegas now, brother. You know, I have done nothing but like, even if he hates me, I love you. This guy's a grifter. Fuck him. I love you. How do you fight against that? I love you, man. I just hold you up to the highest standard. Man.
It was like
It's
the
crazy.
Oz. Have you seen the show The Oz? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And then, you know, my brother-in-law and all that and everything else that happened, like with his suicide. And then I've been writing on the So Suave boards really since 2001, but the second incarnation came out in 2002. And that's the one you find today, which to its credit has been going for like almost 23 years now. Fucking amazing. But that forum, the sosuave.net, so suave, SUAVE.net, is, you go to the forums there, and you want to see the earliest work of Rollo Tomasi, you will find it. Just do the quick search of my name, and then go to like the early, like you can do it by time, you know, by year or whatever. Go to the earliest years, like 2002. You'll see me having conversations, and that it's still up to this day. Which I think is, you want to talk about like, think about it this way, like Royce's blog is no longer, it's defunct. Dalrock, unfortunately, is defunct. The 21 convention, poof, bye. See you later, fuckhead. I think about all the people who I used to engage with over the years, over like 20 some odd years, and 90% of them are gone. Like Ryan Stone, still around. Aaron Clary, I've known Aaron Clary since 2009. So he's been a permanent, if you want to, he's old. Aaron Clary is old, and he's not a homosexual. But he's been around for quite some time. And I mean, he had books out before I had books. But anyways, like, I think my father would like really, I don't think he would understand what it is I'm doing, because he got kind of trapped up. He was living this, like, he was supposed to get the dream. He was supposed to work until he was 65 and then get the Rolex and get the watch or whatever it was, and to get the pension. And it didn't work out that way for him. You know, my dad was a vice president of a hospital in Torrance in California. And that was like the sort of the peak or the pinnacle of his life, was when because my father's identity was his job, was his work. Like, and in some ways that was a good thing for him. But like, the problem is that once that was taken away from him, he didn't know what to do with himself. And it was at that point he started showing early onset signs of dementia and Alzheimer's. And my father prided himself on his intellect, and very much an atheist. My analytical sort of critical thinking skills, that part of Rollo is really attributable to my dad. My dad was very much a skeptic. He was very much, for a long time, maybe towards the end he became a little bit religious, but like for the most of his life he was very anti-religion. He was very much an atheist, and that's like, you can read about all of this, by the way, in my 4th book, which is called Religion, available on Amazon. Go get it today. But if you want to know what my faith is and what my background, my history, I guess, yeah, that's all in that book. I give it to you. Just I give and I give. Long story short, my dad lived a pretty confused life because he never understood what made him attractive, and really what made my father attractive was his money. My dad definitely made good Skrilla when he was at his peak. And that was really like, he was one of these guys who would probably say, well, that's what women are attracted to. They're attracted to intelligent, like everything he has, right? They're attracted to intelligence and they're attracted to money. And, it doesn't matter anything else. My dad never took care of himself physically, which was actually one of the things I think was why he had early onset dementia, right? Which is why I work out like a fucking demon right now, because I don't want anything to do with that. But I can remember the day my dad hit 50. I remember his 50th birthday. And I was living in Santa Cruz, California. I lived in Santa Cruz very briefly for about like a year and a half. And I came down and my dad was there, and it was a big party at our house. We had a pretty big house in Pasadena. And so he came down and I hung out with my dad, and my brother came with me too. And it was, we were all there for his 50th. And he looked like he was very, very happy. And then he hit 55. And that's when the hospital he worked for got bought out by another company. And they basically cleaned house. And they just basically, everybody who was like upper management, gone. And they put more people back in. And here's my dad, who has done nothing but human resources and was the vice president of a hospital for his entire life. He's 55 years old and he can't get a job because he's too old. They didn't want, like, he's just 10 years away from retirement. Yeah. Right. And so he was basically unhireable at that point. And so he did some consulting, and, he did some freelance stuff on the side, and he had enough money to sort of like carry him. But, he's cashing out 401ks and everything else. And that was about the same time that my stepmother, his second wife, decided to pull the plug and leave. Right. Because he was right. She was only there for the money. Yeah, fuck her. But my dad, in some ways, he taught me some interesting stuff. He definitely gave me the gift of being more analytical and being a little bit more like my critical thinking. My mother, on the other hand, was very much a lovable ditz. She's a ditz, but you can't help but love her, right? I mean, she was sweet. She was a nice lady. She was a nice woman. But she did end up leaving my dad. And I remember the day that my parents split up, and my dad, being the analytical guy, sat me and my brother down at the table. My parents never fought in front of us. And so it was like a complete shock to me and my brother, because they would always fight in private. Yeah. Like we would be sleeping, or we would be somewhere. I don't know, we used to play peewee hockey. So I'm figuring maybe that's it. But for whatever, I don't know how it happened, and it might have just been even low key, but at some point they decided to get divorced, and my dad sat us down at the table and says, well, your mother and I have been having some problems, and we think it's best that she goes and she leaves. And then it was just a separation, and then of course it became a divorce after that. But I'm 8, my brother's 6, I think. Maybe I was 9 and he was 7. I don't know. Anyways. But this is back in the 70s too. And I was very much a product of Generation X. I was a latchkey kid. I had to let myself in, let myself out, make my own sandwiches for lunch. I had or get lunch money. Very much a latchkey kid, because my dad was the one who got custody of us, and because my mom didn't want custody of us. She wanted to go into the discos and have a good time, right? She was definitely, like I said, she's a ditz. She's a lovable ditz. And when she was younger, she wanted to go and participate in the nightlife and the things that were happening back then, because my dad was kind of boring. I'm not gonna lie, my dad was a bore. He wasn't gonna go. My dad was never gonna go to a key party at Studio 54 or some shit like that. I don't know what happened then. I was too young to really understand that shit. But I have you watch 54 and the movie 54, and maybe you get an
Saturday
idea.
Night Live.
Yeah, there's no key parties and shit like that. No, Dad would not be. He was a Delta male. That was never in the cards for him. My mom, on the other hand, wanted to go out to discos and shit like that. So, but after a while, once you realize your parents are human, you can either forgive them or you can't. I think that, honestly, I really think that people who have a problem with either one of their parents, and it's usually dad, because they don't understand that dad gets kicked out. They don't understand that dad is no longer welcome in the house. They don't understand that, like, the Duluth model of feminism essentially mandates that they take the guy out of the house because he's the one who has the most potential for violence, right? And we have standardized on that since the mid 80s. And like the guy who was talking about the women in Australia, or that guy who was talking about, oh no, it was the guy with the British accent with the glasses when I was doing the intro videos. That guy talking about, how men have just had really, I would say even my generation, Gen X through Gen Z and probably Gen Alpha, we've just been basically told that we're pieces of shit for the longest time, right? And there's nothing good about being male. I remember when the Las Vegas shooting happened, the one in 2017, October 2017, 77 people dead. Largest mass shooting in American history. I think it is today. It is, still. Yeah. And I remember, and usually when there's a mass shooting, the news cycle goes through this process, and the process is we need gun control. We have to start with gun control, but that's a no-brainer. And then from there it goes to toxic masculinity after that. Yep. And it goes through a series of processes, but it basically boils down to, what are we teaching our boys? What are we teaching men of today? And it's kind of like the same it's like the same program you're hearing from like the UK right now and adolescents, and it's, there's nothing good about men, right? The whole thing, I was just going on my rant about the DNC and stupid ass Kyla. I'm repeating myself. I've been doing this for 22, 23 odd years right now. I'm just basically repeating myself from 2012 or 2008 or 2016, or certainly 2017, because that's when the mass shooting was. And what happens is but we crossed sort of a Rubicon at that point. That's why it was significant, because it wasn't about toxic masculinity at that point. It's masculinity is toxic. It is. There is no good masculinity. And that's really where it kind of hit the thing. And right, by the way, and then in 2018, in January of 2018, that's when you get the Gillette commercial. Yeah. And that's when you get the APA, American Psychology Association, basically making this public declaration that traditional masculinity is now in the DSM as a psychological disorder. So if you are of any kind of, pro-masculine mindset, if you are quote unquote traditionally masculine, you need treatment. It's like a Clockwork Orange, we've got to treat you. There's something, fundamentally wrong. It's like that Suicidal Tendency song, Institutionalized. I just wanted a Pepsi. It's like they'll find anything to put you in therapy. That's why I laugh when I hear these, even the girls on Access Vegas. Oh, well, therapy is really sexy. Get the fuck out of here. What are you in therapy for? I don't know. I have these feelings of violence and rape, and that's sexy. Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe it is for them. I don't know, but yeah, it's unbelievable. But as far as my dad is concerned, it's like I got a lot. Like I said, my dad gave me the gift of an analytical mind, and my mother on her side sort of gave me my emotional side, I guess, my artistic side, my fun side, like the side of me that wants to do Access Vegas. This is the side of when you watch this show, it's my dad. When you watch Access Vegas, that's my mom. Because I want to go out and I want to fuck around, man. I want to get laid. I want to fucking be where sexy chicks are. I want to, I want my wife to like be a little bit jealous and then want to fuck me when I come home, which is awesome. Just a little bit. Yeah. But yeah. What do we got? I got a couple more. Do I have two more here? Was your dad a Chad? No. Why did your parents divorce? My parents, you want the real, you want my answer, what I think? I'll tell you what the official story is. The official story is that they just kind of grew apart. And California at that time had a no-fault divorce since 68, right? That was Ronald Reagan. I lived in California. I was in Southern California, lived in Pasadena, and I spent a lot of time in Pasadena, Sierra Madre, Arcadia, Monrovia, and Huntington Beach. Those were the places I would go. Huntington Beach mostly in the summer, right? I was very much a Southern Cal. Hey man, hang loose. What was it? Surfers own the sea and sands, and Chicanos own the taco stands. That's where I learned my appreciation for Mexicans. This was Huntington Beach, man. Oh man, that was fun. Why did my parents divorce? My parents divorced because the real story is because my dad is boring as fuck. That was more or less why. My parents were married for about 13 years. And I'll tell you what's interesting is when my dad died, we came across all these old pictures. You know, we were trying to, clear out his stuff and, keep what we were going to keep and then let go, toss or whatever was not important to us. Right. And we came across, like, my dad served in the Navy. I don't think people know that. My dad was, he was a gunner's mate on the USS Lansing. And the reason why that's important, and if you ever follow me on Instagram, and why don't you, or Twitter for that matter, every Memorial Day and every Veterans Day, I always say, thanks, Pop. And I show a picture of the USS Lansing. And the reason why I do that is because my father was involved in a project called, or an operation called Operation Dominic. And Operation Dominic was a series. There's Operation Dominic 1 and 2. He was in 1. And it was a series of nuclear tests that they exploded nuclear weapons, or warheads, I should say, out in the Pacific Ocean, about 800 miles off the coast of Hawaii. And it was quite out there. And there's a place called what's called Johnston's Atoll. And it became so radioactive that you literally couldn't go there. In fact, they still have the warning signs up on Johnston Atoll. And it was Johnston's Atoll was created so in World War II so that they could land planes. And really, the atoll is like one airstrip, and there's just enough land to put like an air base on there, and that's it. But it also had it was also a naval base as well, and so the Lansing was there. And they literally used the sailors as human guinea pigs for nuclear tests. And if you've ever listened to the song Dominic by a great band called Trial of Ascension, I wrote that about that whole song. Actually, is all me. Well, yeah, I shouldn't say all me. It's about 80% me because CJ had a lot to do with it too. But the lyrics, the music, and everything, that's all dedicated to my dad and Operation Dominic. And the reason why I chose to do that as a sort of a tribute to my dad was there was also my good friend Livy, who was the singer of Trial of Ascension. She and I were going over the logs of the USS Lansing, which I had access to, right? And in those logs, at certain times, they logged the sighting of unidentified flying objects in the thing. So I'm like, dude, we have secret nuclear weapons plan. We've got the Navy involved in the U.S. government in a cover up, which they did. And we have UFOs involved in this shit too. I go, that is a metal song if I have ever. That is my fucking Megadeth song. Is with that. That's like what Hangar 18. If that's not a Megadeth song, I don't know what is. So I wrote it about that. But my dad was involved in that, and I can't say that's why he got Alzheimer early on, but there was a whole program, a benefits program for my dad, and from the VA, because they essentially use them as human guinea pigs. So that was my dad. And he was 19 when all that shit happened. 19, 20, 21, 22. And it happened in 1958 through 1962. And there were UFOs there. Just saying. I want to believe. That's why I always give like Mike so much shit about that. He's like, there's no UFOs. There's no aliens here. They couldn't cross the interstellar gulf. And Like, yeah, but maybe they could.
I'm just gonna fold a piece of paper.
Yeah, the fold space technology. No, what I always tell them is like, because we're both fans of The Expanse,
Yeah.
the show The Expanse. I go, I got 2 words for you, Mike. Proto-molecule. That's how they get here.
Electron acceleration.
Yes. Proto-molecule, my friend. They were already here. My dad was most definitely not a Chad. My dad was very confused when it came to women. Judging from his choice of my mother and his second wife, my stepmother, I think that being the sum total of his notch count, pretty much rules out the Chad part of any of that. I'll leave you with this. I can remember going to school, and I was at university, and I was learning. I was in the psychology program. I was in the art program because I dual majored. So I can remember talking to my dad when he still had his mind left, and I was trying to do. I think I had some sort of research project I had to do, and it was a genealogy thing. And it's like you have to go and interview your parents and your grandparents and whoever else is left, kind of thing, so you can get a better. It was supposed to help you understand your family and stuff too, right? And I remember I asked him one time, because like my dad and my mom are like so fucking different. My mom was very much at the time she was very much evangelical Christian. She was Presbyterian for a while, and then she was an evangelical Christian, and she died a confirmed Catholic. So she just ran the gamut when it came to Christianity, right? But I asked my dad one time, I go, what the fuck did you, and I just said, why did you marry mom? I'm like, you guys seem like so different, right? And he told me the best thing in the world. He goes, seemed like a good idea at the time. I was like, okay, I can accept that. I understand. Siege D, hey Rolo, how does one make Red Pill brand without giving credit to where credit is due, unlike Teraband? Oh, would you like me to get to the Orion Teraband portion of today's show? I'll be happy to. But also not rely heavily on co-branding like Will Costello does with David Buss's dick riding. Well, you have to understand, Will Costello only rides David Buss's cock in name only. Okay, he's part. Yes, is he part of this program? Yes. Does he probably know or has met David Buss? Yes. You got to remember, David Buss has a psychology program. It's at the University of Texas. What's the one that Mike goes to? Is it University of Texas? The Longhorns?
The Longhorns, yeah.
Yeah. So Will Costello is part of the David Buss psychology program. Does that mean they go out and have Thanksgiving dinner together? Probably not.
Yeah, University of Texas, Austin.
Texas, Austin, yeah. That's where my hook'em horns. Okay. Whenever he does that, I was going to go, yeah, UNR, Wolfpack. It's like, why not? Wolfpack hasn't been a factor in any kind of sporting thing for quite some time, since Kaepernick. Yeah. So you got to remember, Will Costello is not really best friends with David Buss. So bear that in mind. And let's also unpack a few things. Let's get a few more history tidbits with Orion Teraband. Orion Teraband's doctorate is from a diploma mill, and can only really legally practice psychology in the state of California. So his licensure to be a psychologist is only valid in California, not like, say, somebody like Jordan Peterson, who's a clinical psychologist and can take that anywhere he wants to, okay? Including from Canada to the United States. Now, odds are, I'm fairly confident in saying this, in that Jordan Peterson has not taken a personal client in quite some time. Yeah, his practice is, I don't think he has an office somewhere you can just walk in for a chat, check up on me, kind of thing. I wouldn't be lucrative enough for him, I think, right at this point. And also, I should also point out that, and as you already know, that Sadia Khan, C-O-N, is not a psychologist, has no diploma, has no, I mean, maybe she's got a master's in something, but from every point of view, from every Reddit thread, from every there's a few YouTube spots. Oh gosh, what's her name? Dr. Babe Love. What's the hell's her name? Dr. Taylor Burrows is. Look up her stuff. She is really anti Sadia Khan. And what's funny about Sadia Khan is if you look at her, Sadia Khan, by the way, doesn't have her own podcast. She doesn't have anything that's significant. Sadia Khan is only famous because she goes on other people's shows. Same thing with Taraban. Now, Taraban does have his own channel and he does have his own thing, but the only reason you know Taraban's name is he rips off my shit. And then on top of that, he goes on other people's shows and other people boost his signal. It's not that he doesn't do this. He doesn't do live streams. He doesn't take questions. I don't think I've ever seen him take questions. Maybe on whatever podcast he has. I know he's been on whatever. But other than that, I don't know that he makes a habit of doing live streams because most of his stuff is pre-recorded and by design. When I see people who do mostly pre-record stuff, I kind of have to ask why. Because this is a tough gig. Even Kyle knows this is a fucking tough gig. I got to deal. I'm watching the chat right now too. And to me, this is better than doing a recording.
Yeah.
Now I could probably make a whole lot more money or get more subs or build the channel, expand the channel past the blacklisting and the shadow banning I'm under right now. If I were to do more short form stuff that's a pre-record, and I'm not saying that's out of the realm of possibility. I might want to do something like that, but I'm always going to do this show. And it's difficult to do this show because we have to do it on time. People are waiting in the waiting room. Like, when are you going to start? Oh, they're on Fresh and Fit time. And now I got Kyle as part of the show now too. I'm thinking about might bring Jake in at some point. Might test that out and have him run the board or something like just so we can bullshit. But the show, my show has expanded and it's evolved in different ways. And so now I'm not in the studio that I used to be, although I still love my home studio, but this is where I belong right now. And so, really made some progress in that department. But as far as like credit where credit's due, how do you grow a red pill brand without giving credit where it's due? That's easy. You just turn into Ryan Taraban. You just turn into like all the people who just, I don't know. I keep saying I don't have a problem with the red pill being open source. Just don't say you wrote the source code. Just don't be the one who's saying like, oh, I'm the one who is responsible for all this shit, or give the impression that you are. What's it called? It's called when you are. If I were to claim that I was a major in the army, and I really wasn't, that's stolen valor, right? Okay. That's a form of stolen valor. Like when you say you did something in the military, they track you down ruthlessly, right? But there's other forms of stolen valor. If I say I'm a doctor and I'm Dr. Rollo Tomasi, welcome to my show, blah, 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 right? Well, I've just stolen valor from all the doctors who have actually done the work and have the diploma hanging on the wall. If I say I'm a veterinarian and I'm going to fix your dog and I have no idea what the fuck to do, right? Like that'd be stolen valor. I'd be a fucking fraud, right? If I say I have an honorific, for example, like I'm Rollo Tomasi Esquire, right? Or I'm an attorney at law and I'm not, that's a form of stolen valor. So why would it be any different for guys who are claiming to have authority over, or not even claiming, presenting the appearance or presenting the perception that they are responsible or they are the authority on all of this stuff, when in fact, really what they're doing is they're just lifting other people's material, running it through Chat GPT so it sounds a little bit different, and then going and parroting it back on through a teleprompter for some YouTube shorts, right? And then front loading that for the week, right? So all I can say is when I look at Sadia Khan and when I look at Dr. Taraban, I see stolen valor. So we'll leave it at that. Last one here. MCD, from doing Reignite, do you notice that weak spineless beta providers tend to marry masculine 304s? In this case, no, I don't actually. There's actually a different template that they sort of adhere to. Is it a case of low value attracting low value? No. Usually what happens is this is you'll have a guy who has I have to point this out that no one is doing this maliciously. I mean, I'm sure there are some exceptional cases where you have real dyed-in-the-wool gold diggers, but I think that people start out with the best of intentions. And that's the thing that gets me, because a lot of people will say, well, Rollo, do you think women are evil and you think they're plotting to marry you and take all half of your shit and blah, blah, blah? No, not at all. I think that when people get married, and for the vast majority of people who get married, the people who they don't even get married, they just want to be, monogamous, right? I think they do so with the best of intentions. It's just things fuck up along the way.
Takes a detour.
Yeah, they don't we become different people. Yeah, you do. You grow apart. Well, why is that? Well, because of a lack of understanding. Like I was pointing out how my dad's, once he lost his job, he lost his wife too. Because why? Because the number one precipitator of divorce is the man not making any money and the woman being the sole breadwinner, or being the primary breadwinner, I should say. So let's say, for sake of example, my stepmother meets my dad, and they hook up and they want to get married. And the reason why marriage is even something that would be on the by the way, my stepmother was a real piece of work. I mean, she was depressive. She was, I'm going to say, probably bipolar. But she was a real piece of work. I did not get along with my stepmother whatsoever. But I think my stepmother, the reason she was the way she was is because she got married to my dad and she was trapped. She was trapped because she wanted alpha fucks beta bucks. She wanted to get out of that relationship so she could go get laid, right? She wanted to get laid with somebody who wasn't my dad. And my dad was like I said, my dad was kind of boring. He was never really in shape. Didn't think he ever needed to get in shape. And for all intents and purposes, he didn't have to, because here he's married. He's got a lot of money. And as long as he's making this money, then he's going to stay married, right? She'd been in and out of, psychological facilities and stuff like, I don't want to say therapy place. There weren't it wasn't a nut house or anything like that. It was just private apartments for people who have depressive conditions. And the day she was out, I was like, me and my brother went fucking pounded beers and fucking tequila shots. It was great because we got our dad back. And that was before he lost his mind. And so we were fucking happy. Hey, move up to Tahoe, which he did. But yeah, but the thing is he didn't realize that he was playing. I always say that, guys tend to play by a set of rules that they think everybody else is playing by.
Yeah.
And then they have a rude awakening. And usually it's when they get divorced, or they have some sort of personal trauma, or they find out that their wife or their girlfriend is cheating on them. It's always a point of crisis where they realize that, oh, you're playing by another set of rules. Yeah. And that's really, you want to know the difference between the red pill and the blue pill? It's that point at which you realize other people are playing by a different set of rules that you thought everybody else was playing by. And so you have these guys who think they're doing the right thing. And that was my dad. My dad fully thought, because this is what you do. This is what a man does. He goes to work. He goes to college. He goes to high school. He gets a diploma. He goes to college. He gets a degree. Then he finds a good job at a good company, and he's loyal. He's a loyal employee. And then he gets a pension, and then he goes and retires, and blah, 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 as I was saying before, right? And so my dad is living this life plan out that, and by the way, something that he really adhered to. And I also have to say that my brother-in-law, the one who hung himself, also had that same mentality, which was, I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to put money into my house, and I'm going to save money. I'm going to invest it very wisely. He was actually, at the time of his death, he was actually building another house with his hands. Knows how to do shit like that, knows how to run irrigation, knows how to, hang drywall. He's a very industrious guy. And his entire world was taken away from him because his wife decided that she wanted to divorce him and take up with a guy who was a multimillionaire. And so her ship had come in, and he had nothing left to live for. Well, I don't think my dad would have done something like that. But the thing is like he was my dad and my brother-in-law were playing by a set of rules that their wives weren't playing by.
They set their frame up
Yes.
on that.
And they believe that they did. They set their frame up and they believe that their wives and their girlfriends or whatever are part of their frame when in fact they are like they behaviorally. And when they're talking, it seems she's a good actress anyways.
Well, initially we were.
Yeah, initially she's probably part of that frame and it seems like a good way of life until something better comes along.
And it's a time frame, right?
Yes. So if I'm with this guy, it doesn't matter how industrious he is. It doesn't matter how much he sacrificed. And I'm going to talk about male sacrifice here today because that's really what I think is starting to play in on the internet right now.
Male
To
altruism.
be a man is to sacrifice. And you know what? I'm just going to play this video again, really quickly here because this really sort of sums this up. That way there it is.
I believe this. A man will sacrifice his happiness for his family, and a woman will sacrifice her family for her happiness.
Okay, so that right there is the sum of this video. That's really the overall message in this. And now, do you agree with that? Because I kind of do. I mean, even whether it's my personal experience or not, it's that it's like what Rich Cooper. Again, I'm going to give credit where it's due. Rich Cooper said this. He said that we teach our boys to do the right thing, and we teach our girls to do what's right for them. Do what's right for you, girl. And that when they get older and they have a family, that mentality transfers over to exactly what this is. A man will sacrifice his life for his family, whereas a woman will sacrifice her family for her life or her lifestyle. That's why I say marriage is not about marrying the guy. It's about marrying a lifestyle for women. Men and women love differently. Would you like me to cover that? I'll go over that really quickly. That's one of the iron rules of Tomasi. Women fundamentally are unable to love a man in the way that man believes that she should be capable of loving him, right? Because men love idealistically. Women have a very small set of criteria for men to want to marry them or men to want to invest emotionally in a woman. Like there's you ever have a friend who gets with some really fat chick or some really ugly chick or something like that. And he's head over heels with it. What the fuck are you doing, man? You're you're better than this. Or I've worked with guys before who have been in just these horrible relationships and the guy's in pretty good shape and he looks good. And she's just this fat shrew, right? I'm like, what the fuck are you even doing, man? Bro, you're so money and you don't even know.
Know your worth.
Know your worth, bro. You're what is it? You're like this big bear with these big claws and she's the bunny and you can't kill the bunny. What movie? So she's, you see these guys who are with these girls who are just you're what the fuck are you with this girl for? And the reason for it is mostly it's an emotional investment because men love idealistically. And it's dude, you could get being a third party, up and away from with a God's eye view of this whole situation. And you're going, what the fuck? You have way more sexual market value than this girl does. And you're eating her shit every day. And she's berating you and surveilling you and wants to see your phone and you're just living this miserable life as a result of that. And guys are yeah, I am, because that's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
It's the right thing to do. I made a commitment.
You know what they do in Latina toxic video things is that the toxicity is okay because she's this.
Yeah.
The toxicity is okay. Because
Yeah. They excuse it. She's from New York. And she's a Latina. You have to give her a wide berth. Why? And because and you know why? Because it's the difference between male respect and female respect,
yes.
Right? Because you need to give women respect, right? Why? Did she earn it? Is there some reason she's respectable? Did she achieve some great accomplishment that I should look up to her? No, she's just a fucking chick. And we go and we say women have a default respect. You don't respect women. Yeah, goddamn right I don't respect women.
You're goddamn right.
Goddamn right I don't.
Respect is earned, not
Yeah,
given.
is earned. That's the male form of respect. And like the male form of respect, like that's one of those gendered concepts, right? Women have a completely different understanding of respect than men do. Respect amongst men is merit based. It's what makes you it's what gives you your integrity, right? But it's what makes you respectable. What do you do that I should respect you for? Like, what's your social status and your rank? When I look at like Rob Henderson, he's constantly talking about luxury beliefs and status. Status is hierarchical, Rob. It comes from hierarchies, a set and a formulaic system of hierarchies. You know where that comes from? Male respect. That's where that comes from.
It's always you're a man of your word, never a woman of your word.
Right. You know where we got that, right? We're a man of your word.
Not exactly.
Well, because back in the day, before we had lawyers or we had ways to sort of or money to enforce contracts, you had to be a man of your word. So if you said if you're going to go borrow money from somebody, there's nothing you could like. You're going to sign some paper or something like that. That didn't exist. So you had to have a handshake, right? You had to be trustworthy. You had to be a man of your word. Your word is your bond, right?
Yep.
And so if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to fucking bloody well do it, right? If I commit to something, I'm going to do it. That's why you have to be, back then, you had to be very serious about what you're going to, taking an oath, taking a vow of, in marriage till death do us part and forsaking all others, in sickness and in health. That's an insurance policy is what that is. That's so the bitch don't leave. Like, oh shit, man, we had $10 million in the bank and now we got nothing. Bye. See you later, broke motherfucker. Like, but that's what the vow was for, right? That we did that in front of God and our families. Aren't you a woman of your word? Fuck no. In fact, I want half of nothing. I want half of our nothing. It's just like it gets even worse. I hate to say, I'm going to sound so pessimistic and so cynical because I have a pretty good marriage and I love my wife, right? And we've been good for coming up on 29 years, right? But I will say this, I can't argue with Jim Sexton. And Jim Sexton's like, when you look at the contract or like sort of the unspoken contract where it's like, here's my contract with my wife. I'm going to go and bust my ass, write books, make as much money as I possibly can. I'm going to take care of your mom who lives with us. I'm going to take care of Sam Bada, who actually who still gets royalties with me. I'm going to, and deserves them, right? It helps pay his medical bills and stuff. You want to talk about Atlas shrugged? I would be Atlas if I decided to shrug right about now, right? And I look at all the things that I'm like technically responsible for to this day, monetarily, emotionally, personal investment wise, physically. I still have to lift Ned up and down the stairs, so that's a commitment I have to do every night and every morning. Actually, I'm thinking I might try to train Ned to go up and down the stairs. Well, maybe not down. He could go up the stairs. Coming down, I think I'd be a little bit concerned. But anyways, you think about what are the responsibilities that I have? And here's the thing. I do those because I love my wife. I do those because my definition of love is idealistic. I'm of the opinion that love should matter for the sake of love, right? Call me a romantic. You're a fucking simp. Bro. Okay, in this case, I'll be your fucking simp. There's people that if I tell you I love you, I really mean that I love you. Like I love Kyle. I love Mike Sartain, right? I love Tiffany Fox of all people, who's probably watching right now. But like people have asked me before, like, I don't believe in love in the terms of like agape love and eros and what's the other one? Fratos or whatever. Like there's all these different varieties of love. And I kind of think that's like category. It's putting things in categories that don't need to be put in categories. To me, like love is really, you really want me to fuck things up for you? Love is just basically another emotion that we feel. It's very strong. It's probably the strongest emotion that human beings, sort of it can be one of the strongest emotional influences that to the point where like we will literally deify it. We will say God is love. Love is God, right? So to feel love is to compare that to like some sort of divine experiences. It's got to be, love's got to be way the fuck up there, right? But it's essentially, love is, I mean, from an evolutionary psychology perspective, and I'm really going to fuck things up for you. Love is really just an emotion that keeps people together so that people will pair bond and they will invest in their children, right? So if I'm in love with my wife and I love my kid, right? Very much.
Self-altruism.
Right? I will do anything for my kid. Oh my God, she needs this life-saving surgery for, $50,000. There you go. Whatever it is. Would you take a bullet for your daughter? Fuck yeah, I would. Would you take a bullet for your wife? Yes, I would. Would you take a bullet for some random bitch at a club? No. Not if I could help it, right? Not if I was thinking about it. But I'll tell you what's funny is like when that shooting happened in Vegas, 77 people died. There were so many incidents of guys like basically putting their bodies in front of women that they didn't even know. So the guys would take the bullet for women they didn't even know.
The shooting that happened here in right outside the Bellagio.
Yeah.
Happened
recently. Just recently. Yeah. But
on the live stream, you could
God.
see the man.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like,
yeah.
What's this GTA? He's like this. Yeah. Did they catch that dude?
Yeah. He's no bail.
Good. Yeah. Well, of course not. No. And that dude shot that dude because he was going to get him like, he was going to get him a nudity strike or some shit like that and take him off the air or something like that. That is like some frontier fucking justice.
They had like less than 20K subs put together.
Man, you want to hear something that's really freaky? As I remember I think it was 2022, and it was myself, Donovan Sharp, and Aaron Clary, and we were supposed to go on Fresh and Fit, and it was the first time they ever got a nudity strike, and they banned them from YouTube for a week.
Yeah,
and they couldn't go on our channel because if we'd have hosted them, then we would have got docked for that too, right? And the way that they got the nudity strike is because whoever was working for DDJ or Anthony Johnson or whoever was in their sort of cabal at that time figured out that all you have to do is because we're using StreamYard. Now, if you go and you look at the little icons here, like the avatars, like, it'll say EAMB, whatever like that. But then there's the ones that are like pictures, right? Somebody does that. All you have to do is put like a naked chick as your avatar. And then if you get you buy a super chat and they put the super chat up, now it comes up and there's titties there.
Yep.
That's a nudity strike. And everybody brigaded to YouTube to say they had nudity on here, ban them, right? And that's all it took to get them a mass report, so essentially what they were doing, and I told Myron and Fresh at the time, I said they're going to try to hold your channel hostage because you won't be able to know when that happens, right? You would have to look at every single one of these things and be very meticulous about the whole thing. I hope you didn't fuck up, right? Now, fortunately, they never had to deal with that, but it woke me up to the idea that if you do something like these guys did, these guys down here at the Bellagio, it becomes serious because you're fucking with people's livelihood. Yep. And when you're making $120,000 a month off of super chats alone, you might go kill someone. You might kill a motherfucker for that, right? And that's why I said, and you're not going to go to the police. And YouTube don't give two flying fucks about you. They don't care about these two ghetto ass fuckers out here. They don't care about that. They don't care what their beef is. They're not going to, there's no court of appeals. You can't go to the police. There's no internet police or anything like that. And so all that's left for justice is frontier justice. And that's exactly what I was afraid was going to happen, was exactly what happened down. It's amazing. I hate being right all the time. All right. Rational Redneck. Happy Father's Day. Here you get one of these. I'm taking my dad out to dinner. Well, they're going to take me out to dinner tonight too. It's going to be cool. We'll have to catch the rest of the podcast later. Okay, have a good time. Say hi to your dad for me, and I tell him Happy Father's Day. We need to get behind dads. We really do. I don't care if your dad's an asshat. Like, just say, hey, look, Happy Father's Day. I'm thinking about you. That's all. Even if he's a dick. I don't know too many dads that are actually, but sounds like your dad's ex-wife, wife. There's only one. Well, that's all it took. Needed drama and chaos. No, she needed dick is what she needed. And needed serial monogamy. Do you think that all of this is genetic programming to increase the genetic diversity of the offspring of species? Yes. Great book by Dr. Tim Burkhead. It's called Promiscuity. And it covers exactly that, genetic diversity as a result of cuckoldry and being promiscuous. That's why I laugh when people like say, oh, well, women are more promiscuous now than they've ever been. No, they've always been the same level of promiscuousness. They just weren't allowed to express it until the pill. Like how many different ways do I have to explain that?
Watch Mad Men.
I know. Exactly. Yeah. Right. I have this. Oh God, and I would have to go dig it up, but I put this in one essay at one point. So I forget, somebody was talking about how we need to go back to the greatest generation. You know, like the World War II generation. There's the greatest generation, and then there's a silent generation, and then there's the baby boomers and blah blah blah. Right? And people like they just held up like, you know, Dan Rather and all these people from like 60 Minutes and shit like that were like holding up like the generation of who went and fought the Nazis and Japan and everything like that. Oh, and the ladies were waiting for their good men. No, they weren't actually. I looked up the stats, or somebody looked them up for me, and the unwanted pregnancies of that time during wartime shot up at that time. And it was from women, you know, keeping the home fires burning. Yeah, they were definitely keeping the home fires burning right then. And I have to look that up. It's in one of my essays, and it essentially covers the greatest generation and just how promiscuous they actually were. People think, you guys, have you seen Peaky Blinders?
Part of it, but not the full thing.
Okay, in Peaky Blinders, if this is just post World War I.
Yeah.
Right. So it's in the roaring 20s, really, and then gets into the 30s later on in some of the later seasons. Sometimes a girl will get pregnant, and you could get an abortion back then, but it was like sort of like the backyard or back alley abortion kind of thing, and they had like the women knew other women who could abort a child, like if they had to. And I'm sure it was probably a really unsanitary, you know, not hygienic, you know, situation or whatever. I don't know exactly how they would do it, but it did exist back then. Probably very illegal, I'm sure, at the time too. That's why it was a back alley sort of thing. But during the roaring 20s, when you had the flappers and there was the morals were let down and there was so much degeneracy during the roaring 20s, right? You know, flappers, fucking, you know, guys, whatever.
So what was happening in Germany too, right after World War I?
Oh yeah,
yep.
Oh yeah. Or like the Good Time Girls, right? Yeah. Or the women who would side with the Vichy French, right? The women who would go and fuck the German officers because they thought they were going to win the war. They made a bet. They just made the wrong bet.
Exactly.
You know, they're like, hey, I'm going to have his kids, right? So like, you think about how many like Dutch, Belgian, and French women got with probably largely German officers, and had their children out of wedlock. And now the war is over. That guy's dead, and she's got the baby, who's a German baby, you know, in her womb, and she's already had her hair cut off because that's what they did to them at that time. So when people go and tell me women are so much more promiscuous, well, yeah, because you're much more aware of it. You see it more. Shit, yeah, I'm from Generation X, right? I remember in the 80s, dude, everybody wanted to fuck. Are you kidding? Are you kidding? Even if you finger a girl in a car on a Saturday night, that's what you were out there to do.
Take it to the drive-in.
Yes. God, there's your clip. People are going to go, Rolo's talking about fingering young girls in the 80s. Great, thanks. Well, here's your thumbnail. Done that in a while. Yeah, man, that was a thrill. Are you kidding? Fuck, to get a cop of feel on a girl or something in her under her tube top. Oh, you guys could ask me all kinds of questions about how come nobody asked me about my high school years? Nobody cares.
So let's hear the stories of Sunset Strip, right?
That was me in my 20s, right?
Yeah.
Nobody asked me what it was like in 1986, right? Like when I watch Stranger Things,
Yeah.
that was me. I
Those
was
are childhood.
literally that age at that time. Yeah, it was funny. Rollo my finger game was on point, motherfucker.
He does play guitar.
Yes, I do play guitar. I know what I'm doing. I'm really good with my hands. Oh my God. Yeah. Today's welcome to Father's Day. Let me put this in here again. Here, drop that.
I don't believe that.
That's deep.
I believe it.
Because you guys are the men.
No, because it happened to me in real life.
Yeah, I believe that, and that happens a lot. I think it's listen. It's just hard for you to accept it because I don't think I think you would be different.
No, yeah, you're good. But my mom left when I was like 1 or 2.
See, that gives me chills.
She
like,
disappeared.
Thinking about that.
Not disappeared, but like she was wanting to like go do young people stuff and go party and stuff like that. While my
Kill the party. That's basically what that is. It's the kill the party dynamic.
dad had to sit, go to work and take care of me. She did come back eventually, but that's picking happiness over her family.
It gave me like chills.
Why?
I don't know. It's sad to think about. A man would sacrifice his happiness for his family. A woman would sacrifice her family for her happiness.
Yeah, that's good enough. I'll pull that out. This kind of like plays on a theme that I actually wrote about in my religion book, which is sacrifice. And the reason I brought it up in that book at all was because when you look at martyrhood, when you look at Jesus Christ, right? A lot of people will say, well, I have mentioned this and I still stand by this more or less. The Old Testament was really much more of a masculine God, whereas the New Testament was much more sort of feminized. Now, people will fight me on that. And they'll go, what do you mean, Rollo? Jesus made a whip of cords and drove the Jews out of the temple or the money changers out of the temple. Okay, be that as it may. If you look at the overall sort of the writing style and it's forgiveness and it's loving and kindness and it's very much nurturing, right? It's very, now I'm not saying that it's all that, but compared to the Old Testament God is very wrathful and let's go and destroy Sodom and Gomorrah and let's, turn Lot's wife into a pillar of salt. Much more vengeful, much more instant, like Judge Dredd. And so instant justice kind of thing. Whereas the New Testament tends to be a bit more forgiving, much more, characteristically speaking, much more feminine. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong or right about that. People really want to fight me on that. But one thing that you can't really fight me on is the sacrificial nature of the Christ story. Okay. Now, what I was doing in that chapter, and please go get this book. I spent a lot of time working on this thing. But the actual chapter wasn't about like Christ. It was about sacrifice, and very much like what these people are talking about right here. Man sacrifices his happiness for the sake of his family. Well, Jesus Christ dies on the cross, and that's a sacrifice, right? It's very much like is it Isaac who was going to be sacrificed by Isaac. Abraham? Yeah, like it's very much like that. Jesus Christ, dude. Let's just get that out of here. Thank you very much. I know that's probably not him. People are going to impersonate you guys too. I'm sorry to say. So if you get caught up in a band, just let me know. Yeah, Isaac, you're right. So when you look at the Christ story, it's really a story of masculinity. And so if there's a masculine component to the New Testament, I would say it was certainly served up in the death and the resurrection of Jesus Christ, right? So you have this sacrifice, and who's the family? Everyone in the whole world. We're all your family, warts and all. But it really kind of especially on Father's Day, right? It kind of puts a point on things here. Simply because if you look at the Christ story, it's one of sacrifice, and it coincides with men being the sacrificial sex. There's a really great book, and it's by Dr. Hector Garcia. And please excuse his stupidly apologetic feminism in the book, but he's on point with his stats. He's on point with his observations. But it's a book called Alpha God, and it's by Dr. Hector Garcia. It really was inspirational to me when I was writing my book on religion, but because he looked at religion from an evolutionary psychology perspective, and not just Christianity. People think it's just shitting on Christianity. He shits on all religions. So nobody gets away. You know, I don't care if you're Jewish or he was shitting on Eastern religions.
He exposes all the violence and all the exploitation.
Quite a bit. It's a great book, great read. It's not even that long a book, but it's amazing because what he does is he sort of like compares our need for like our human behaviors and why we do what we do from a religious perspective, and how like it relates to like primates, you know, and how like, remember how I always, this is where I got this, by the way. So you guys probably recall when I talk about how great men over the course of history have been defined by three things. What are those three things? Territory, resources, and access to preferably virgin women, like have a harem, a harem or harem, harem, right? You know, if you go and you look at like some of these tribes in the, you know, Amazon rainforest, the tribal chiefs have what? They have a preset territory you don't go fucking with. You have resources within those territories, and you got to have your bros you got to be at least somewhat socially savvy to get your bros to defend that territory, which is also defending that resource. And then there's the chicks in the tribe that, you know, they, depending on how great a warrior you are, you might get 4 or 5. But if you're the tribal chieftain, you get you get this girl, you get access to the Forbidden City, right? Guarded by eunuchs with their dicks cut off, right? To make sure that they're not impregnating them, and only the chief gets to, because we need more of the chief, which also dovetails very nicely into that black fellow the black woman and the black guy. Mm-hmm. Oh, I have 8 kids. Oh, we need more of you. He's a tribal chieftain. He's got, it's a soft harem, granted, but he's got 8 kids from 3 baby mamas. Is he 3? Yeah.
3, yeah.
3. And now she's like, well, you deserve to, because you're a fine specimen of a man, and you should probably have more. I mean, she's probably hoping to be baby mama number whatever. Was it Nick Cage who had like a shit ton of babies? Who's the guy? Who's the is it a rapper guy who has? Oh my god! Forget the
Nick Cannon.
Nick Cannon. That's why Cage. What did I say? Cage. It's not Nicolas Cage. No, Nick Cannon. Nick Cannon has how many babies?
It's like 12 or 13. Yeah. I don't know baby mamas.
But the long story short, he's a tribal chieftain. We need more of Nick Cannons apparently, and so women are more than happy to breed with him. And or Elon Musk is a tribal chieftain. He certainly has access to resources. He's got territory, obviously.
12 kids, 6 different baby mamas.
Oh my God. Whew. 12 kids. It says 2 apiece.
I guess. Yes.
Oh my God. He's a tribal chieftain. We need more Nick Cannons in the world. We need more of this brother in the world. We need more Elon Musks in this world, right? What's he up to? 14 kids now?
14, yeah.
I don't ever want to hear traditional conservatives talk shit about Nick Cannon and then like praise Elon Musk in the same fucking breath. You do not get to do that anymore. Yeah, Nick Cannon. Sorry, I thought it was Nick Cage. People are laughing at me now. But that's what defined a high value man, right? A very high value man. How many babies you got? Shit, we do that today. Although we want you to have them with one woman, right? We want her pussy to be a clown car, right? We want the more babies to pop out. And then when we see a woman who's had like 6 kids and she still looks like she's some sort of, you know, supermodel, or she looks hot enough to be, you know, churning butter in the Amish Dutch country in Pennsylvania, right? was it Tasteful Lindy? She's hot and she's a mom. She's hot mom.
I mean, you have like Future. He has 7 baby mamas.
Yeah,
Like
we need
7
more
kids.
futures, man. Oh yeah, and Russell Wilson taking care of one of those.
Yeah.
Well done. Yeah, and by the way, cuckolded Russell Wilson. Yeah, Future is never going to have to worry about that kid like starving or not going to college because Russell's on board. All you got to do is have a religion that says you're a superhero for that, and that's what gets me too. It's like on Father's Day, you're not the dad, you're not the stepdad, you're the dad who stepped up. All you have to do, and I hate to say that I hate to say this because I don't want to be a dick, but Mac and Murphy, I should probably just read it to you, but Mac and Murphy was on Twitter this week and he actually said something I agree with. Mac, and you scored a point. Okay. I will concede this point. He was talking about, he'd run into some chick who was like a sociologist or something like that. And she was like saying, and in all earnesty, she's saying, I don't understand why paternity is so important to guys. Like, why does it matter that the baby is your baby? It's, you should just love the thing and parent it. And the same thing with Wes Watson, for example. Like, I butt heads, like, you don't want to butt heads with Wes Watson. But if I lock horns with Wes Watson on one thing, it's the fact that he's a cuckold. Same thing with Andrew Wilson. And Lord knows I have no beef with Andrew. I like him a lot. But when you look at how cuckoldry, like the end result of cuckoldry, is just it is one man taking over the parental investment responsibilities of another man. Russell Wilson is a cuck. Not that he's sitting there watching Drake fuck Ciara in the hotel room in the cuck chair. It's not that. It's the effect of that cuckoldry, which is he is now, and Russell Wilson don't give two flying fucks about this because he's got a lot of money, so it's not going to matter to him. He's a Hall of Fame football player. But he's taking care of the financial and parental investment responsibilities of Future's kid who he had with Ciara. Right.
Skip the cucking, went straight to the.
And I'm not saying Future's probably not paying child support. He probably is in some way, shape, or form. But who's raising the kid? Ain't Future. Who's that kid seeing more? Russell Wilson or Future? Right. So, or even if they're co-parenting, you got 2 dads and 1 mom. How awesome is that? It's just the fact that what we do is we instead of calling it out as cuckoldry, we make it we ennoble it. We make it noble, right? We say it's noble to be the dad who stepped up. That's why they say you're not a stepdad, you're the dad who stepped up. Stepped up to what? Stepped up to taking over the parental investment responsibilities of another dude. That's what. So essentially, you sacrificing or potentially sacrificing your own reproductive, imperative, because you may or may not have children with that woman. But it's a sexual strategy for beta males is what it is. It's a sexual strategy to say, well, if I get with this woman as single mom, she needs me. She needs a man with benefits. It's basically transactional. She needs a guy like me. And my church said that the Lord God wants me to be the dad who stepped up. And we go and we praise that guy and we get the T-shirt and we go and it's stepdaddy day at Disneyland or whatever the fuck, right? But the end result is still the same. You're still completing the biological imperatives of that woman and her sexual strategy. She mates with the guy who's the alpha fucks, and she has you as beta bucks. That's an evolutionary jackpot. And at no point in human history have we made it so socially acceptable, because prior to the sexual revolution, we didn't have that. It was a shame to have that's why they call them bastard children. You're a fatherless child, right? You're a mistake. And and usually it's the woman, right? Because the woman's the one who's deciding whether the kid gets born or not, right? I remember my mother-in-law saying that prior to 1965, that if a woman had a baby out of wedlock, or she was in high school, or she was like 17 or 18 or something like that, and her boyfriend knocked her up, they depending on the community, it brought shame on the family. It wasn't a religious thing. It was just a social stigma at that time.
Ostracized.
And what they, yeah, exactly. So what they would do is they would do what's called putting the girl away. And so what was putting her away? It was making her go live with the grandparents until she came to term, had the baby, and either gave it up for adoption or the grandparents would say, oops, it's ours, you know, and raise the child as if it's their own. And then it wouldn't bring shame on that woman, and she could possibly go and find a husband, because if she'd had a baby by another man, she was worthless at that point. That's why she was unmarriageable, because of that social stigma, because she had already been impregnated by a guy, and no guy wants to get with the spoiled goods, right? And now, if a guy has a problem with a woman's body count, if a guy has a problem with single mothers, that's on you, dude. You're insecure. We basically flipped the script around. It's called transvaluation. We've taken what used to be a stigma, and we've turned that into shame on the other party. So if you go, I don't want to have, like, and this is what Mac and Murphy was talking about in this thread, is the woman literally didn't understand, and she's completely oblivious, didn't understand why paternity is so important to guys. It's because we have, over the course of evolution, we have been very vitally interested in our own paternity, because DNA is the only thing that we're going to leave on this planet that is effectively immortal. And we can get into like memes, and we can get into, you know, like there's a school of thought. I'm not saying I adhere to this, but if you read, if you read, what is it? The Ape That Understood the Universe by Steve Stewart Williams, there's a section in there where he briefly goes into the idea that organisms, from bacteria all the way up to human beings, are simply vehicles for passing on DNA. That's all we are. And DNA doesn't care. Like I've always said, nature doesn't care how the babies are born. It cares that the babies are born, because that is within the biological imperative of passing on your DNA into the next generation. That's why it's so important to men that they know the paternity of their kid. And that's why when guys discover later in life, when they're in their 60s, that the kids that they put money into, put through college, went through blood, sweat, and tears, because maybe they have problem kids or whatever, they find out that those kids aren't theirs, but yet they've sacrificed an entire life, a lifespan up to 60, 70 years old, and they find out that their loving wife was fucking his best friend and had babies as a result of that, and said, it's your baby, because he was the best, he was the one most suited to assume those parental investment responsibilities. Now she's fucked alpha fucks and she has beta bucks, and that guy gets to be 60 years old, finds out that those kids aren't his. He's going to kill himself if he doesn't kill the kids and the woman beforehand. And people wonder, well, why would that be? I can't understand. There must be something wrong. We need to work with men's mental health. No, you don't. That's an evolutionary response to that. You're not fighting psychology. It's not a disorder. In fact, it's very logical when you understand that our bodies and our organisms are simply vehicles to push our DNA into the next generation. And if you spent your entire life believing those kids are actually yours, and you put all of this, the resource and monetary and territorial and all this love and investment and everything else that goes into raising a kid, and you realize now your genetic line is going to go extinct because of the duplicity of this one bitch that you thought was in love with you, now you might kill her. You might kill yourself, because you're going to go extinct anyways, right? It's all about extinction. You want to know about why paternity is so important, and happy Father's Day. But if you want to know why paternity is so important, you have to understand the DNA imperative and all of that. And I was trying to add to the conversation with Mac and Murphy at that time, but moreover, women don't understand that. And it's like, you try to give them an example. It's like, what if somebody at the hospital took your baby and gave you somebody else's baby, would that be okay? Because I don't know why you should just love the baby. It's not your baby. They stole your baby and they gave you they gave you somebody else's baby. You're a white kid and you get a black baby. I don't know, whatever it is. Would you be upset about that? Would that rub you the wrong way? Would you love the child as much as you would your own child? No. Studies prove that stepchildren get beat like nothing else, man.
I mean, that's my mom. She grew up without a father after father disappeared, right?
Mm-hmm.
Her mom was not looking for another man because back in the day, most people that would choose those women would abuse them and the children.
Yes.
And that's why she never remarried or got with another man, at least in the eyes of the children.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody put this on here. Let me do this. Rolo, I've showed your project on platform X and LinkedIn. Oh God, don't do it on LinkedIn. To help get the word out. Every bit of visibility helps, and your campaign truly deserves my campaign. Go forth. my campaign. What am I running? What am I, Donald Rumsfeld? I'd have shared it here as well, but I'm new to Facebook, so it's because you're on Facebook. Come on YouTube. I'm a bit limited for now. You're looking to build even more momentum, find backer supporters. If you want to support me, go buy my book. Please. That helps me out more than anything else, is purchasing my books. And hand them out. Go put them in your libraries. I've always told people that. If you want to really help me out, go those little neighborhood libraries that you see?
The little book areas. Yeah.
People have done that for me. They've gone and bought multiple copies of my books and put them in those little libraries. And then I always told, I have these guys who are in college who would show me, send me pictures of them taking my book and they would put it into the psychology section of the school library or something like that. And I'm like, thank you. You get this liberal librarian lady what the fuck is this? Oh man. Who is the worst cuckold, Andrew Wilson or Destiny?
Mm-hmm.
Destiny. You know why? Because okay, let me also put a bookmark in this, or an asterisk by this. I am in no way saying what's right and what's wrong when it comes to cuckoldry. I'm just saying that objectively speaking, from a red pill praxeological point of view, cuckoldry is cuckoldry. If you are assuming the parental investment responsibilities of another man's child, you are effectively a cuckold, because that's the end result of cuckoldry. Whether it's proactive or retroactive is kind of immaterial. I've one of the reasons I was interested in Mac and Murphy's Twitter thread is because he was talking about finally coming clean, right? And talking about why it's so important that men know the DNA and know the baby is actually their baby. Right up until the mid 70s, we didn't have genetic confirmation of whether the baby's yours or not.
No paternity test.
Yeah, unless you're white and the baby comes out black, it kind of looks like me, right? But there's I can remember the guys in I think it was Mac and Murphy talking about those red pill guys think that cuckoldry is is 30%, 30% of all I don't know who's telling you this, but I will say this is I think we need to add things like being a stepfather or babies born out of wedlock and then other people assuming that responsibility. I think that needs to be part of cuckoldry statistics.
New criteria.
Yeah, because just because the woman didn't lie doesn't mean she's not cuckolding you. She's doing this. You want to know why we have women's single mother ministries at churches and stuff like that? Because they're trying to get past the stigma of cuckoldry. That's what it comes down to. We need to find God. It was Dalrock who said this. This is not my words, but he said there's a dynamic called man up and marry those sluts. And that's pretty much what married or single mommy ministries was all about. Try selling that one on Mother's Day. Try selling that one on Father's Day even, right? But, if you can convince, think about that from a social engineering perspective. and you live in a gynocentric social order that prioritizes the feminine imperative, like anything that benefits women, we were going to promote that. Anything that doesn't, we're going to try to limit that or try to ratio that, whatever it is. And so if a woman's mating strategy is dualistic mating strategy and not mate switching hypothesis, which nobody wants to talk about now, amazingly, but if it's dual mating strategy, which apparently it looks like it probably is because nobody's talking about mate switching hypothesis anymore. If that's necessarily the case, then if a woman has a child out of wedlock, or she is a quote unquote single mother, whether or not the guy bailed or whatever is immaterial at this point. If you have a religion or a social imperative, or you have a movement, or whether it's conservative or maybe it's pop culture, I've seen like memes saying, you know, if a woman has a baby and it's not your baby, you should still love the baby as if it's your own baby because you're a man, and that's what being a real man is about, right?
Redefining.
A real men take care of kids that aren't their own, even if mama cheated on you, right? Literally. And if you can teach a generation or two to accept that, if you can teach a generation of men that it's not a stepdad, it's a dad who stepped up. If you can teach a generation of guys to say, hey, it doesn't matter that she fucked some other guy and had a baby with that guy. You're a bigger man. You're a better man than that dude was, because you're willing to take the responsibility that he wasn't willing to do, because he's lesser than a man and you're greater than a man, irrespective of whether or not the guy that fucked her was Nick Cannon, right? Or was, I don't know, the other dude, right, with the 8 kids.
Future.
Yeah. The guy who is impregnating her, you're taking care of you're essentially investing your time, resources, emotional investment, everything, all the things that you would put into your own kids, you're putting it into the guy who you didn't even know, who might have fucked her in for the foam cannon party in Cancun on spring break. And you're paying for, and you're helping her pay for her student loans at the same fucking time. Good on you. The Lord has a special place for you in heaven for accepting all of that, for turning her what is it? Her school debt into community debt. Oh, and that credit card that she used to buy cute swimsuits and lingerie for the guy that knocked her up, you're paying for that too. You got to help her, like, dig her out of that. Her credit is really shitty, man. But boy, but the Lord loves you more if you go and you help her break that, right? You know, there used to be this. I can remember Tom Likas. I remember Tom Likas once said, like, don't date a woman until you get a credit report. You find out what her credit debt is, especially if she just graduated college. Yeah, what's her credit rating? 400. She's carrying like $100,000 in student loans and like $80,000 on the credit card.
Already late on her payments.
Already late. Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to pay this. Yeah. Be careful. Be careful out there, gentlemen. Rejection in genes equals genes weeded out of existence. Yes, it does. They win, you lose. From an evolutionary perspective, how does not having a father affect men mentally and socially? Well, see, that's the thing. That's always the cop out. By the way, this is the Wes Watson gambit, by the way, because Wes Watson will say, I can't believe these red pill guys. They think that, you know, being a stepfather makes you a cook, but don't young children deserve a good father like Wes Watson, right? You know, like jacked up on like a gram of tren every week, right? Yeah. Yeah, they do actually deserve a father, just not necessarily you, Wes. Yeah, it's that's the paradox, right? What about adopting kids? Because effectively you're doing the same thing if you're adopting kids, and maybe you can't have kids. Like a lot of the times, most of the time, either the couple is having difficulty conceiving, or the guy doesn't have any swimmers, or perhaps she's had some sort of she's had an abortion, and maybe she's got whatever that shit is. After you get an abortion, you can't have kids anymore. I forget what it's called. but perhaps for whatever reason, like a couple can't have kids, but they really desperately want kids. Adoption, okay, well, aren't you technically
More women are okay with adopting than men are.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And or you can also make this here's another caveat. Women can electively be mothers if they want to. They can go down to the sperm bank. And by the way, when they go down to the sperm bank, they don't care if the guy is a lawyer or has an IQ of 120. They don't care if the guy is like the best surgeon in the tri-state area. They don't. You know what they look for? Physique. That's the first thing they look for. I want my kid to look like this. Physicality is the first thing. The first criteria. I'm not saying that they don't pick for other criteria too, but if the guy looks like he plays water polo and he's got a 6-pack abs and he's a med student, give me the sperm. Yeah, you're sold. Well, why do I say that? Because if you go and you look at I've read these articles of men in Norway and men in Denmark, and they're sperm donors for women who don't have a man in the UK. And they're making these jokes about how the Vikings are once again trying to outbreed the Normans, or the Saxons. Yes. Yeah, the Vikings are breeding the Saxons once again. But why is that? Why do they keep choosing those genes? Because they look better. Why is it like they have to be careful? They're trying to institute new laws so that you can't father more than so many children if you're going to donate sperm, because what happens is then everybody's a half brother of somebody else and you get inbreeding. That's number one. And then if there's a genetic disorder that one of them carry, all of them carry it. So it's how do I know that? Because I have greyhounds, and greyhounds are they're purebred, but they're also inbred. So they keep breeding the same stud over and over and over again. And if that stud, which is very common, is prone to osteosarcoma, guess what? Your poor dog is going to last probably 8 years and die from a very painful bone cancer. And so there has to be regulations instituted as to how much you can stud out that dog, right? And same thing for for bulls, same thing for any kind of draft animals and stuff like that. The same thing should apply to men, and for breeding purposes. I don't see why it wouldn't. Simply because you don't know what's who's if you're a half brother or you're a half sister of this guy, that could be a distinct possibility. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. What is it? One in every 200 people are men, or every 200 people on planet Earth are a direct descendant to Genghis Khan. That dude fucked. Uncle Genghis, he fucked. I'm sure a lot of people didn't like him fucking, but Uncle Genghis did funk. Yes. Sorry to say. Genghis Khan. Like Sadia Khan. I wonder if Sadia Khan is a direct descendant from Genghis. I don't know. It's a possibility. So I'll answer that question here. Say Andrew Wilson and Watson are paying for another man's. Yeah, they do share that in common. You are correct. Destiny just watched his ex-wife get piped. Yep. Why is Destiny the worst cuck? Because he actively participated in his own cuckoldry. Yes, he's active. Now, granted, end result, did he participate in that? No. So he did get out there. We got to give him 1 point there, right? But he actively participated in his own wife's his own cuckoldry, literally, sat in the cuck chair. But Wes Watson and Andrew, they weren't sitting in the cuck chair watching their wives get piped down. So again, there's a difference. Destiny's being a cuckold would be proactive. Andrew Wilson and Wes Watson is retroactive, meaning that she was the girl that they get with already had the kid and has to be convinced that, oh, well, don't kids deserve parents? Don't they deserve, fathers? And blah, blah, blah. Trying to shame you kind of thing like that. Like, dude, I am a father. Thank you very much. I fathered, I sired my own daughter. Thank you. I enjoyed every moment of it, and before and after. I was in no way cucked. Thank you. It was all by design, and we did it the right way. Just to clarify things here, because I get this all the time. Rollo only married his wife because he knocked up his girlfriend. She was his girlfriend. No, that didn't happen. I can prove it to you. We were married like 2 years before my daughter even was born. So go fuck yourself. I love it when people tell me like he was born in 1969. No, 1968. So I'm actually 57 years old. I love the rumor mill that keeps getting re-perpetuated about me all the time. It's fun because I think Rollo is 80 years old now, isn't he? I think we're up to 80 now.
80.
Yes, I'm actually 80 years old. I'm lying to you. I sold my soul to the devil, so I look younger. I have these blood transfusions from young 12-year-old boys. Yeah.
Adrenochrome.
Yes. I suck the blood of young children. Yes. And puppy dogs too. Yes. I drink the blood of small corgis. Yeah. Yeah, paying for another man's spunk. Destiny just watched his wife get piped. Why is Destiny the worst cooked? Well, because he actively participated in it. Again, I'm not making a judgment call. I know it sounds like I am because I'm laughing, but from just a diagnostic perspective, if you're taking care of another man's child, you're effectively a cuckold because you bought into the idea that whether or not you want to be boys club dad, you want to be the guy who's like helping to raise. It takes a village to raise a child, right? You're basically participating in this egalitarian ideal. And when a woman like the one that Mac and Murphy was talking about, who just simply didn't understand, like she's like, I don't get it. I don't understand why paternity is so vitally important to men. Believe her. She really doesn't understand that. In fact, I brought that up, and I kind of poked fun at Mac and in my responses, saying, "Well, now do you understand what I mean by retroactive and proactive cuckoldry?" Because proactive cuckoldry is this. It's very simple. It's you're with a woman. She steps outside. It's infidelity, right? She steps outside the marriage. She fucks some other guy, and she says, "It's your baby," and you either find out about that later, or you never find out about it at all. And either way, cuckoldry. It's duplicitous. It's a lie. She's not telling the truth. Blah blah blah. But it's proactive, meaning that you were already engaged in the relationship prior to your own. Now, whether you go and sit there and watch her get railed by some big dude, and she has a baby as a result of that could be part of the cuckoldry too. But like really, when guys, most like sort of gloom and doom black pillars, seem to think that it's like 30%. It's not 30%, but it could be more than that if you include retroactive cuckoldry, which would be I'm gonna be the adoptive father of my new mom, my single mother who I'm marrying. Well, what you're doing is you're assuming the responsibilities of the parental responsibilities of another man. That's why women don't understand that, because they want you to complete their sexual strategy. So when a guy says, no, I don't want to get with a single mommy, there's an innate, I believe anyways, an innate revulsion response by men when they see a single mother. Remember, I told you the story about the single mother that I was nailing back in like 1990, 1991. She was the manager of the band that I was in at the time, and she had a kid, and she didn't even want to tell me that she had a kid, right? I had to figure that out. Remember that? Would you like me to tell the story again?
There were snacks at her house.
There were snacks at her house. Yes. Yeah. What's this juice box doing right here?
So why is there
I didn't get that. Are you a mother? Yeah. No, I was waiting for, like, usually I would go over to her place in the nighttime at her condo, which was in Westwood. It was a really nice condo. And I'd spend the night there and, I'd knock it out with her. But I was only ever seeing the condo at night. And then I didn't really pay attention when I was leaving. Right. And then one time, I think it was in the afternoon, I was off work early, or I was out of school early, and I'm like, I'm going to go over there and see if I can knock it out with her in the afternoon or something. Right? I go out there and she's not back from work yet. And so I'm just sitting around waiting for her to get off work. And I'm looking at the condo and I go, this condo is way bigger than I thought it was, right? Because I only thought it was like 1 bedroom, shower, kitchenette, living room kind of thing. And then there's always this one door that led to someplace else. And I asked her one time, I said, where's that door go? She goes, oh, it's that's where the washroom is, for the washer and the dryer and all that other shit. Like, I'm like, oh, cool. And I didn't ask any questions until that one time. And then in the morning, that Saturday morning, and she got in the shower, and I'm like, my curiosity got the best of me, man. And I went through I opened the door and I looked in there, and there was a washroom, but there was also another extra bedroom that was there, and it was her kid's bedroom. And then she came out of the shower. She's like, no, she didn't want me to know that she was a single mother. Right. And this is 1991, something like that. And so even as far back as like when I was, my rock star 20, because I was like 22 at the time. Even as far back as that, women, this is not some kind of stigma that just cropped up in the last, 10 years. It's been around for quite some time. And I was never going to marry this chick. She was fun in bed, but she was much older than I was. It's the first woman I'd been with who was much older than I was, which made it that much more fun. But she was a single mommy, and she really thought that I was going to leave her. Like she wanted to keep fucking, right? Yeah, but she thought I was going to leave her. She would only have me over when it was not her weekend with the kid, right? And at one point she wanted to introduce me to the kid, and I did. I met the kid on a couple of occasions, but she tried to keep us separate, more or less. Which, I mean, I guess I kind of understand, but I think even as far back as it was in 1990, right? Even in my case, there's still that stigma, and it's not me. I didn't give two flying. I'm 22. I'm getting my dick sucked by this chick. Fuck, do I care? No, just tell me when to show up, right? But I was never going to marry her, and I knew that, and she knew that too. It was just a fling, lasted about 8 months, right? But she was the one with the stigma, not me, because she probably knew that that guys, when they find out that they are single mothers, that they're going to be in some way repulsed by that, or there's going to be some sort of revulsion response. And I do understand that now, having gone through psychology and all this other stuff. So yeah, is there a revulsion response to single mothers by guys? Yes, because that woman represents a woman who has already had sex and has already had, it's one thing for a woman to have a high body count. It's another thing for that woman to be a single mother, because now she has single mommy responsibilities on top of all of that. So a single mommy's pussy feels just as good as a single woman's pussy does, right? Only the single woman's pussy doesn't have a baby attached to it and a weekend to do and a room to hide and all this other shit that goes along with that. There's so much to do with that. And then you got to be willing, you got to have a guy, maybe hats off to Andrew Wilson for this. You got to find a guy who is okay with that. Now, Andrew probably was okay with that because he already had kids before that. So he's a single father. She's a single mother, right? So is he, still effectively as a cuckold, but I can understand his situation more than I can Wes Watson's situation. Because Wes Watson's a single dude, he steps in and it's stepdaddy season, right? It's like Brittany Renner, Hey
y'all.
It's stepdaddy season, right? That's not the case with Andrew. Andrew already had kids, and she and Rachel already had kids, and it's like the Brady Bunch, right? They put the families together. So his having, whether or not he has a child with Rachel I don't know if they do or don't, but in the future, for example, he's not losing the resources he would because he already had reproduced prior to them getting together. So circumstantial, I get it. We're going to plead the fifth, Your Honor, but it's a different situation with Wes Watson. Wes Watson has a shit ton of money. He found this chick who is, I don't know, who maybe worked him really good, and she had kids, right? And that was enough to convince Wes Watson that, hey man, don't kids deserve fathers? Yeah, they do. What about young men? Well, here's the other thing. I'm just going to leave you guys with this too, is because it's Father's Day, if you want to go into any kind of depth or any kind of detail, to my knowledge, I'm the only guy in the red pill space who's been married for 29 years and has a family, and fuck that guy in the video. But I'm the only guy in this space who's written about parenting from a red pill perspective. And so one of the things that gets me is I love it when like this dude is critical of Myron. Myron Gaines is 35 years old and he's just now getting a girlfriend. And do you really want to take advice from this guy? Blah, 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 blah. And Andrew Wilson has a soft voice and soft hands and can't open a fucking olive jar. And he's, married a single mother, but he's against single mothers, blah, blah, blah. And then goes up against, then goes after Andrew Tate and then goes after these guys. Andrew Tate has kids, kept it secret for a very long time. I'll be happy. I'll be the first one to like mouth off about that. Cause he gave me and fucking Brian Stone no measure of shit for that. He doesn't have a relationship. He's not married, blah, 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 blah. I am married. Like, again, that's the fucking litmus test is you got married. Because it sounds like you're a fucking sucker as well. Like that's why I put James Sexton's video right after that, because it's like this is what you've signed yourself up for. Right? I've been in a happy, successful marriage for 29 years. You know what scares the shit out of people? Me talking to Jim Sexton. That's why they think that because I have a great marriage, I'm the one who should be promoting marriage and that is singing it from the top of the mountaintops, right? And I'm in a successful, by all measures, by all metrics, I'm in a very successful, very happy, very positive relationship and marriage with my wife. I do everything right. I did everything by the rule set. And you guys want to tell me that I'm a son of a bitch? You'll notice that I'm not on that list because he can't put me on that list. I do have a wife. I have been married for this long and everything else. But I'm going to tell you this is that, and I kind of have to agree slightly with Wes Watson here, because you're going to be, as a man, you're going to be villainized. Thank you very much. Not so erudite. You're going to be villainized, but you have to fucking go against that flow. You have to, with the world, it's you against the world. Literally, it is you against the world. The world hates men. So men have to find some way to organize. We have to find some sort of solidarity. We have to find our tribes. We have to have some sort of unified voice. We have to have some kind of, at least, a modicum of agreeance on conventional masculinity. I don't care what religion you are. I don't care what stripe of conservative you are. I don't care. I don't give two flying fucks about that. We need a brotherhood uber alles. Women have always had a sisterhood uber alles. We need a brotherhood uber alles. And I want to say this is like, even if you don't have kids, if you are around kids, or your brother has kids, or your sister has kids, or maybe if for whatever reason you're dating a teacher, I don't know what the fuck, but like if you're around kids, understand that you as a man are the masculine role model for that kid. So if you knuckle under, if you pedestalize women, if you exhibit the behaviors of for lack of a better term, a beta blue pill, doormat, that's going to be the impression that that those kids, that next generation of boys is going to have. But if you're a guy who lives it, like kids don't listen to what you say, they watch what you fucking do. And again, I'm just sort of like paraphrasing stuff from my third book, Positive Masculinity. If you're interested in anything like parenting from a red pill perspective, that's your book. The first 2/3 of that book are dedicated to being a red pill man, raising sons, raising daughters, being a parent, what you're up against. I feel like I'm fucking Nostradamus in this fucking book, because like when I go and I review it, the first thing I go over in positive masculinity, when I'm talking about being the quote unquote red pill parent, is know what you're up against. And what you're up against is you're up against a school, a public education, and by the way, a social media education and a pop culture education and a religious education. And you remember how they say it takes a village to raise a child? Well, the village that's raising the child is pretty fucked up right now. It hates your boys. They want to raise your boys as if they're defective girls. So the only thing that stands between you and that village is you, or the boy, I should say. The only thing that stands between him and the village is you. And you're the one that has to set that example. You're the one that has to say no. You're the one that has to step up in that case. And I don't mean step up like stepdaddy, but you can still be a coach. You can still be Uncle Rolo. You can still be the guy who is the neighbor who's pretty fucking cool, right? I'm gonna rat this kid out. I have this kid, okay? His name is Owen, and God, I hope they're not watching this. His name is Owen, and he lives right next door to me in my new place that's out. It's here in Las Vegas, right? And the kid is a hustler, and he's got a little bit of he's kind of got this longish blonde hair, and he kind of reminds me of me when I was that age. And so he comes up and he knocks on the door, and I think he probably had seen me because I have long hair and I'm bringing my guitars out and everything like that when I'm going to band practice. Coming out, and he comes and knocks on the door. He goes, "Hey, I'm going around the neighborhood and I'm pulling weeds." And I go, "Do I have weeds?" And so I'm looking. Yeah, he's good. Points to these weeds. Yeah, you got weeds right here. You got weeds here. Like, God damn, And I'm like, so I go, yeah, okay, cool, no problem. And I said, we didn't discuss price. I just said, go pull the weeds. No problem. Go pull my weeds. And like half an hour later, he's done because it's because my front yard is zero-scaped and there's really not much to do. But he was entrepreneurial, right? And I want to encourage that in the next generation. I was like, yeah, you're hustling out there. Great. Go over to the next guy over here and pull the same shit. And I was like, I told him, I said, come on, give me the sales. Sell me this pen. Hey, I need to sign something. You got a pen? No. Here you go. Yeah. But it's like, okay, give me your best, man. Show me your hustle. Show me your pitch. Give me your pitch. Comes back and he's like, okay, I'm done. He shows me the bag of weeds and everything like that. And I'm like, oh, cool. I said, you're going to throw them away? You're going to take care of them? Yeah. And so I ended up giving him $20 for pulling weeds. But I mean, I probably should have given him like $3, tops or something like that. But I'm like, nah, I wanted to reward that hustle. I wanted to reward that behavior of going out, not sitting around a fucking tablet or whatever the fuck most kids are doing. But he's going around because he wanted to make some money. And I'm like, why are you doing this hustle? And you know what he tells me? He says, because I want to get a GoPro. I'm like, and I have an extra GoPro because I don't use it anymore since I got the DJI. And I was like this close to giving it to him. And I thought, nah, I better not do it. I want to encourage him to get the money to go and do it himself. And his dad comes over to me. His dad comes over to me later. He goes, I hope Owen's not like bugging you or something. No. I said, it's nice to see the kid actually out there doing shit. And I think he inspired some of the other kids in the neighborhood because I've had a few other kids try to do the same thing. He's like, yeah, this guy pays really good. Go over there and pull his weeds. I'm like, there's only so many weeds to pull, man. So, but see, the reason I bring that story up is because I want to see like that's being dad to a kid that's not even mine, right? And that's me. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with like being the guy who's the dad who stepped up. If you're a stepdad, if you adopted a kid or whatever, and you did it with the most noble of intent and everything else, just because I'm saying cuckoldry doesn't mean I think you're a dick. It doesn't mean I think you're weak. It doesn't, I would never tell Wes Watson he's a weakling, right? It's like, why do you do what you do? And do you know that you're doing, like, if you're going, like, here's the other part about like, people ask me this about adoption. Well, what if I want to adopt a kid and I can't have kids because I don't have any swimmers or something? Okay, fine. You're still technically a cuck, but you're doing that with your eyes open. You know what you're doing. You know the game that you're playing, right? If your wife is cheating on you with another guy and you don't know that, and she says, "Oh, you knocked me up, it's your baby," you're ignorant of that. You don't know what's going on. Same thing with retroactive cuckoldry. You know what's going on. You know that she needs a man with benefits and everything else. But if you are making up rationales for yourself to say, well, God wants me to be a stepdad or whatever else, I mean, that's on you. I'm going to, whatever your reasons or whatever your best practices are, that's between you and God and whoever else. But all I'm saying is go in with your eyes open and make an educated choice if that's what you want to do. Like I said, for Andrew Wilson, he's already got 2 kids. So is that like taking on 2 more from Rachel? Is that going to make or break? And probably not now, because he's probably making a lot more money these days. But he's basically the Brady Bunch. He's just putting like 2 families together. It's not as if he's just by himself single and went in and just decided to take over the responsibilities of some other dude. He is still effectively doing that, but his situation is that he already had kids. He's already completed his sort of reproductive, imperative. And now he's decided that that's what he wants to do. Okay, good. Sounds noble to me. I don't know. But again, I don't work in what should be, and I don't work in good and evil. I work in what is. I have an obligation to objective reality. So that's where I'm going with this. Let me get to these last 2 and we'll get out of here. Tradcux using term father as a trademark is misusing the reason of need for strong father figure. Yeah, we need male. God, it sounds like so schmaltzy, but we need positive masculine role models. And by that, I mean red pill guys who understand female nature, understand male nature, understand the necessity of creating strong boys and strong men. I think it's entirely noble to be a coach of a competitive sports team, or even if your kid is into chess. Like, fuck, if you don't know anything about chess, no, you learn something about chess. If you do know something about chess, teach him everything you know until you can't, and then get him a tutor so he can be the best of the best if you think he has some sort of natural gift. If he's really super artistic, fucking promote that. If he's very competitive, promote that. Right? Push him in the right direction, just like I pushed Owen in the right direction. So if we're going to have a brotherhood uber alles, we also need to have sort of this fraternity or this sort of sense of masculine solidarity, I think. And so we need to be aware that when we're around kids, that they're watching us, and we are going to be, whether perhaps they have a very weak father or they have a weak stepfather at home, and then they see you and you don't take shit from women, and you don't take shit from you have self-respect, you have a good sense of mental point of origin, and that comes out in your behavior. Kids are going to see that in your behavior. And so, like, whenever I see Owen like out on the streets or something like that, hey, what's the new hustle, man? Like I just treat him like he's one of the bros, right? I don't treat him any differently than I would like the guys who like help me set up for the next gig, right? I want him as my roadie. I need a guitar tech. Maybe I could teach Owen to be my guitar tech. 9 years old, working on. Playing with the amps. Hey, man, I did it in drop D. Is that good? Yeah, we're good. Beta simps will make creating that brotherhood difficult. Yes. And the other part that you can always run into is you're going to run into not just simps, but it's also going to be male competitiveness. Because remember, we're hierarchical and we want status. And if we can get it easier than the next guy, that's how you get beta simps. Rather than meriting it, if guys can find an end around, if they can find a way to cheat it, they will find a way to cheat it. That's how that's worse than simps. That's worse than beta chumps. Is the guys who are like sneaky fuckers when it comes to trying to get ahead. Those are the guys you need to watch out for. I see it all over all over content in my own life. How do we get past that? It has to be something that is a social stigma. Guys have to want to be a part of that. Guys have to want to be, and it's something that requires discipline. And that discipline has to be learned. And that discipline has to be something that is like, if you catch somebody, here's the thing. You catch some guy doing wrong, you call him out on it. Iron sharpens iron. You don't do it from you do it from a place of love. You don't do it from a place of fuck you. Oh, that's cringe, right? No, you do it from a place. You do it from a place of love. Now, the other thing is this: is it's just as important to catch a child, but in general, like even guys, it's just as important to catch people doing the right thing as it is to catch them doing the wrong thing. So if you see people doing the right thing, praise it, enforce it, subsidize it, pay for it, encourage it, whatever it is. If it's something that is right, then you build that up. And people say, well, oh, he's getting praise for doing this. I want to do that too. Be something of an inspiration. So not only is it important to sort of enforce this, like the stigmas against what's wrong, it's also important to reinforce what is right, what is conventionally masculine. And to acknowledge that. Most of the time, guys like won't say, hey, man, I see what you do with these kids, and it's really a positive thing, man. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate you for that. Hey, you're coaching the Pee Wee football, Papa Warner football thing. Okay, cool. Bravo, man. And you give them a little message along with that. One of the things I throw in here is one of the reasons I really like Nuno Betancourt when he talks about sort of like philosophical stuff is because I think it's something that's really inspiring. Now, he's talking about playing guitar, but it's not talking about playing guitar. It's something that's bigger than that. And I think it's something that needs to be sort of like said so that people can wrap their heads around it. Like, don't start doing this for the money. Do this because you really love this, and then the money will come, right? I do not at all agree with these guys. And I will say this to Justin Waller's face. I do not agree at all that you shouldn't follow your passions whatsoever. I am here doing this because I follow my passions. And sometimes I fall flat on my face and I fuck things up. Man, I am not here doing what I do because I got everything right. I'm here because I got everything wrong. But if I followed the advice of, Aaron Clary or any of these other guys and say, well, you're getting a useless degree, Rollo, because you're in you got psychology. Oh, that's a chick. That's just this side of a communications degree. And then you have a BFA and you're an artist. You're an artsy guy. You're going to be a starving artist who has some knowledge of psychology. Oh boy, you're going to be working as a barista. You're going to be, and lo and behold, I actually do have talent, and I use those degrees to help me get into, Van Gogh vodka, and using that talent and that my understanding of art history to sort of, do the bottles and do the things that I did for that company. Yeah, suddenly that works. So what am I doing? I'm looking for my opportunities, and I'm applying myself and applying my strengths and applying the things that I learned both in college and in other ways to benefit myself and to help other people, the people that are associated with me along the way. I would say that that's a pretty good start for a father. Fatherhood really, really needs participation, I think, more than anything else. I was there for my daughter. My daughter's a girly girl. I taught my daughter how to play chess. I taught my daughter how to play Warhammer 40,000. I liked playing dinosaurs and Hot Wheels with my daughter, right? But my daughter does pageants. She's very feminine, but she likes to play game. I played Dungeons and Dragons with my daughter since the time she was like 12 years old, right? So she has an imagination, and I encouraged and fostered that imagination, right? But moreover than anything else, I was always there for her. So if she had a pageant, I was pageant dad. Yes. I am happy to say I have no shame. I was pageant dad. I'm still pageant. But I will continue to be that. Would you like to know where I learned a lot about female nature? It was in those pageants that are all fucking rigged, by the way. Yeah. All rigged. Every last one is rigged. So yeah, do not, ladies, my advice to you, don't get into the pageant system unless you want to lose a lot of money. But yeah. So anyways, that's my Father's Day spiel. We're going to get out of here. It is 2:58 on the West Coast. Wow. We got almost 2,600 people watching today. Good show. Let's see. I think that's it. Okay, we got everybody taken care of. Let's see. There's not going to be any Access Vegas this week, unfortunately, but we are going to do a show with Myron Gaines and hopefully the Hodge twins as well. So the odds are good that we'll be doing a roundtable show in place of Access Vegas, and I think we might do it Wednesday. I'm pretty sure. But it will be Myron Gaines, myself, Mike Sartain, the Hodge twins, and if I can get, I think Fresh is with them too. But we're going to do a round table where it's going to be just the guys, and we're going to just shoot the shit like we usually do. And those tend to be some really good shows. And I might need you for that one too, Kyle.
Yeah.
So we'll be doing that. Coach Greg Adams is more than welcome to come in here. I would love to have him on again. He's been in this studio already. Orion Terrorband was even in this studio not too long ago. Twice now, and still hasn't said my name.
Say my name.
Sooner or later, he'll be forced to acknowledge it, but not this. But that day is not today. Yes, I would love to have Coach Greg Adams back in here. Anyways, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. I will see you guys again next week. Will I see you next week? No, I will not. I will be in Reno, Nevada. So I will be doing my show on the road from Reno, because I am going to Reno and Lake Tahoe starting Friday of next week. So I will be on the road, but I'll still do the show, but it'll be a remote show. And then the following Sunday I'll be back here. So we'll do it then. Okay, guys, I'll see you later. Thanks for watching. Bye. Happy Father's Day.
Tell these bitches to go to hell. I need to feel you on top of me. It was my first time, but I was just a kid when we met and went to bed. You lose. Good day, sir. What do you expect from me? I'm breaking up the rules now in the game. I've got some new tools. Please do the same. Time came by to win. Over like a matchbox stereo. Time to keep my thoughts now, let go. Bound to keep me up night. But maybe we can fuck again, and maybe things are different. Goddamn, baby, one more again. Won't you put it on me one more again? I need to know if maybe we can fuck again, then maybe things are different. Ain't nobody got time for that. Bitch.
I feel like I just took a bath in battery acid.
Now we're fucking in the bathroom, tearing up everywhere while I got your hair. Why you screaming my name? She was swinging in the bedroom.
That's nasty. It is nasty, right? Isn't it nasty? Ugh.
Well, I'm a whore.
Working up and down on your body. Run me, riding up and down like a pony. Turning up my song on your body. Baby, we'll get down to it all night. But maybe we can fuck again, and maybe things are different. Goddamn, baby, one more again. Won't you put it on me one more again? Then maybe things are different. Goddamn, baby, one more again.
This Sitting Podcast has been a production of The Rational Male. Registered trademark, all rights reserved, 2025. And don't steal my stuff.
We're never gonna score. We're never gonna score. If maybe we can
God wants you to have the baby.